Episode 8, 15, 18, 15, 18, 18, 15.
Yes.
Technically 18,
Both.
Originally 15. No, that wouldn't even make sense because even an odd number. So this was like
16.
Yeah, this was 16.
Oh, we're dumbasses at the end of this. We kept saying 15.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Oh well, that's fine. The point is, this is episode 18. Welcome back. So I mean,
This is a hard intro because we don't know what the fuck we talked about.
yeah, and we wanted originally. We were talking about the episodes and briefly going over them in the intros. Now we want to stop doing that so that the conversations, we can just hop into them faster and so that you just hear it as it goes.
But this one needs a little explaining.
Yeah. So we were sitting there recording this. We fucking loved this episode. We remember how we don't remember
what I remember.
Exactly. But we know that we really enjoyed it. It was just going back and forth. And then I looked down at my laptop we were just talking. And you guys will hear
made
this
the noise,
"Ba-ding," and it's like, oh, the laptop has no battery.
It's dying.
So I tell Caleb, I thought I had you plug in my charger for the laptop, and he's like, I did, and the charger's lighting up and everything.
Fast forward, and we find out
that I tried to plug it in, and it's not working. The laptop
itself
fried. The charger, I sent it into Dell. I told them, please, for the love of God, don't erase anything on it, because that was an option that they may have needed to do. But essentially it was I forget which board it was, but it's the board that plugs in with all the power, and it just fucking fried. It was working halfway through the episode. It was charging, and then we plugged it back in. And so we got the laptop back 9 days later.
Yeah. And the episode was still intact. So we fucking took a seat down on Nick's bedroom floor
rather than the table, just to get this together really quick,
holding the pop filter and mic hand in hand in front of our fucking faces.
We look so fucking
fucking rookies. And we closed it out and did this intro. But yeah, we were recording this on fucking May 17th, and it is now May 26th.
Yeah.
So fuck, what a ride.
I'm glad we got it back. So
this is episode 18.
15.
16.
16.
It's episode 18. We don't know what we talked about, so you guys don't know either.
So hope you guys enjoy it, and we're gonna start now.
If I think I'm confident, other people will think I'm confident. If I think I'm funny, other people would think I'm funny. And if I'd fuck me, other people would fuck me.
I'm leaving it in there. We're starting. Oh shit. Today was cool, dude. Today was a good start to I'm very tired though. I didn't sleep for fucking shit. My boss asked me to do a very simple task, but it's a very long task. It's easy. It's going to take a long time. He sent me, because his Vimeo has all these videos that he needs me to back up. It is 950 different videos. Some of them are up to 3 gigs, which takes 10 to 15 minutes to download. And some of them are a few megabytes. And I got 243 downloaded. And I went and looked in the folder, and there were 242. I missed one. And I
you don't know which one.
Fuck. So I have to go back through all of them and type in name per name, because there's no way to get the spreadsheet form and that folder and compare the two to see which one's missing, especially because some of the links broke on some of them, so they have weird numbers instead of their original name.
That fucking blows.
Super simple task turned into something much, much longer. So yeah, that's what I've been doing the past 2 days, just trying to download all that stuff, but tired because I was up till 1:30 doing that, and then woke up at 6, and then 6:20, and then 6:30, and 6:40, and 6:50 until I finally got out of bed at 7:05.
That's how I was this morning. I literally woke up early 6, mid 6, late 6, and I couldn't get fucking
It's
comfortable.
really fucking bad for you. You know that, right?
What the fuck?
Waking up and going back to sleep is actually really bad for your heart. Yeah, you can look that up. I mean, I could pull it up now. I don't care. I'll just do that.
I wanted to look into this. You can keep looking it up. I wanted to look into it because I listened to some video about how you sleep in cycles, and each cycle's like a few hours long.
Yeah.
And if you like finish a cycle and you wake up, the worst thing you can do is like start another cycle, but then wake up an hour into it and then go to work, because your body will still like be super groggy and drowsy because it didn't finish the sleep cycle. It's better to get 6 hours of sleep, but you finish the cycle, than to get 7 hours and start a new cycle but not finish it.
I want to read into that too, because I learned that from Chris D'Elia. And the fact that if you wake up in the middle of a cycle, and you wake up groggy, it takes you
the rest of the cycle
4 hours of being awake to start feeling like you're awake now.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
There are times where I wake up at work at 4 a.m. and I'm like, I am not starting my day.
Yeah. But you feel so good.
Yeah. And I feel awake, and I'm like, fuck. So I like have to force myself to go back to sleep. And then I wake up an hour later. I'm like,
yeah, because it's a really, like, when your body naturally wakes up, you're supposed to wake up.
Yeah. Because I remember there was a day where you know what? I'm going to be honest. Okay. I'm going to be dead honest. Me and Francisco got in a fucking competition to play this little app game called like something millionaire. It's like a capital venture or something like that. That's a fucking capital venture card or whatever the fuck.
It's called like Capital One.
Yeah. No, it's like capitalist adventure or some shit like that, and you basically have
really
to like
fucking boring and
you
political.
Have to like no you have to like, you start off with like a lemonade stand, and then you like get money from it, and you get enough money to buy like a hot dog stand, and then you keep going, and you like build like this fucking empire. Next thing I know, I'm like mining ore on Mars.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's basically this like the story of Elon Musk but in an app. But I was sitting here playing it, and we were getting in a competition, because he's like, okay, we're gonna start, and we're going to see who can get the most money in 24 hours. And I was like, okay, like, let's fucking go. And so he started before I did, and he didn't tell me. And he was like, oh yeah, like, just be a sec. And he goes in the bathroom, and he comes out, and he's like, already a millionaire, baby. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, this is bullshit. He's like, dude, I've gotten in so many competitions with people. And he's like, and I always win. He's like, I'm a fucking dog at this game. And I was like, all right. So I hopped on, and I'm fucking playing it like in between break at work and everything, and while I'm like fucking working and shit, not when I should be. And I get home, and I like study the game.
I will like, beat Francisco.
I literally was like, this is all I care about. And so I'm sitting here, and I'm like looking at all these like neat little tricks you could do just within the app. And there's like, if you watch an ad, you get a boost for 3 hours. And I'm like, I could watch an ad. So I do all this shit, and I'm sitting in bed playing the fuck out of this game, and I'm kicking ass. Next thing I know, I look over, and it's 1 a.m. and I have to get up at 5.
You're such a fucking idiot, dude.
So I told everyone at work that I just like couldn't sleep, or like I was going through some shit or whatever. And they were like, oh, I'm sorry, I hope you get rest. And I'm like, thanks. When in reality, I was like fucking collecting
fucking scumbag
all this money. And so Francisco and I, at the next day at work, he's like, I'm sitting here, I'm watching an ad every fucking 2 hours. I'm like boosting all of this shit, finding all these little neat tricks and shit. And at the end of the day, and he's like, he's like, yeah, bitch, like I'm a quadrillionaire already. And I was like, I'm a dodecillionaire or whatever, like fucking like almost triple he was. And he was like, what the fuck did you do, bro? Give me your fucking phone.
Didn't sleep.
He was like, I've never had anyone beat me in this shit. He's like, you beat me by a mile. What the fuck did you do? And I was like, oh no.
I love beating people that are so fucking because today I'll explain what I was doing today, but one of the kids that was in the presentation that I was giving just kept running his mouth that he could whoop my ass in Super Smash Brothers. And I was like, okay. That's all I said was okay. I was like, let's see. Like the first kid I played, I beat him. The second kid I played, I beat him. And they were just like, one of the kids I beat, we started with 3 lives. I ended with 3 lives.
Yeah.
And they're like, damn, you got him with 3 stock. And so this kid sits down. He's like, you ready to lose? And I'm like, and he was running his mouth for like a solid 4 or 5 minutes. And I was like, all right, dude. And so he starts playing, fucking whooped his fucking ass in the first round. And he's like, oh, it's just because these controllers, because I was playing with like the controllers slid into the handles on the Switch.
Yeah.
And he was playing with the 2 controllers, but freehand. And I was like, sure, but like, that's not the point. The point is, you said you could whoop my ass anyway. Like, you were confident that you were going to beat me. He's like, all right, let's play again. So then he turns just one of the controllers to the side, and he gets me on 1 life, whooped his fucking ass again. And then he's just like, oh yeah, whatever, man. It's just because I don't have like the pro controller. And I was like, all right, dude, run it again. Like, if you want to just keep doing this all day, I'll keep doing it. This is why I was late for the podcast.
Wow.
Because
totally understandable.
I was whooping some 8th grader's ass in Super Smash Brothers. But he runs his mouth again, and the whole time, my 5th grade teacher, like I was telling you, I'll get back to that so people don't miss context, but she's just sitting there and she's just looking at me and she's like, will you please just beat him so he'll just shut up? Because he just keeps running his mouth, because now she teaches 8th grade. She's like, all he ever does is run his mouth. And I was like, you got it, Mrs. Hart. And so I fucking whooped his ass a 3rd time. And I was like, and that's 5 wins. I'm going home. And then I looked at the time. I was like, oh shit, I'm 20 minutes late to the podcast.
I fucking love that game so much. Who did you play as?
I just beat everybody's ass with Link.
With Link?
Yeah, one kid was like, oh, I'm going to get you with Ganondorf. I was like, there's only one person that can beat me with Ganondorf, and that's Tub. And I was like, so let's see, because that's like my arch nemesis so far is Ganondorf in that game. But
dude, you are like the only person other than my little brother's best friend, Mario. You guys are the only people that can beat me. And like, we keep up with each other. Like,
I was tortured all of my childhood.
Dude, I fucking like when I first got exposed to Smash Bros, it was the original Smash Bros on 64 and then Melee right after that. And sorry guys, we're getting fucking nerdy for a second here. And so Smash Bros 1 basically and Smash Bros 2.
Yeah.
And I would play at my old best friend's house, Jesse, and he was a dick. He was like, I'm player 1 and you're player 3. And
what the fuck?
And like, he wasn't a dick all the time, but when it came to Smash Bros, he was an asshole. And he's like, and I get to choose who you play as, and I'm Fox every game. And I'm like, who the fuck is
this kid, a mass murderer now?
And so like, I would have to be like Ice Climbers or Donkey Kong, and like he would be Fox. And in Melee and 64, Fox was broken.
Yeah,
Fox was OP.
Yeah,
and so he would sit there and just hi-ya all the fucking time and just whoop my ass. And so I learned the hard way how to get good at other characters. And then when I finally got to play as a good characters, I was already good.
Yeah.
And so, you know, fast forward and we have this shit at my house on like the Wii U and the Switch and the original Wii, playing Brawl, Smash Bros. Wii U, and now fucking Ultimate. And dude, my brothers and I will play, and it's just like if either of them play me one-on-one, it is like a slaughter.
Oh yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, I love talking shit. Like if we play like beer pong, like I'll talk shit and everything. But with Smash Bros, I don't talk any shit.
You just sit in
Dude,
silence.
you let other people just mouth it up, and you're like, all right, then play me, and you just mop the floor with them.
That's that kid, and like I looked at that kid, I was like. I wish I would have been like, you simply trained in the darkness. I was born into it.
Molded by it. Dude, I remember I was at Dylan's place, and our buddy, his name's Noah. You know him.
Yeah.
They had Smash Bros up. And Noah was talking mad shit. And he's like, oh, bro, who do you main? Who do you main, dog? Like, who's your main? And like, for anyone who doesn't know the game, like you main a certain character, which means you play as them the most.
Like, that's
and you're
your
the
first
best
choice.
You're the best as them. That's like your best character. You know them like the back of your hand, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know, dude, I play a lot of fucking characters. I just play the game, bro. I don't know much about it. You know, like, he's like, oh, dog, like, I'm so good at this game. He's like, I'm so good at this game. Like, I'm gonna whoop your ass. I'm like, we're gonna see. And Dylan was like, don't play him. He's like, do not play him. And Noah's like, nah, bro, watch this and everything. 4 games later, Noah isn't looking at me. He's not talking to me.
I love when you make people that mad,
He's like, one more game. And I'm like, okay. and 3-stocked him. And he got up and walked out. He did not talk to me like the rest of the night, dude.
I don't know why people get that bitter, especially like when you're quiet. Like you're not talking shit. I get it if people are in your face.
I was kind of talking.
Oh, well, then you're a cocksucker.
Well, no, I was talking shit after we already started playing. So
then again, he started it.
Yeah,
so.
he kicked it up. He started everything.
Fight
and then,
fire with fire. Just stab everybody.
And then like, we're going, and then he has like 1 stock left, and I fucking like spiked the shit out of his character off the screen, and I'm like, whoa! that takes a chink in your armor. You know?
If anybody is listening that doesn't know what spiking is in the game, basically you can get
you hit the character off the stage and they die, and you take a life away from them.
Right. Spiking is like you basically punch them into the ground where they can die at the bottom of the stage, but you like hit them so fucking hard that it's like spiking a volleyball.
Yeah.
So
and oh my God,
you can do that really well depending on your character and
you can tell
it pisses people off.
Yeah, you can tell how good people are at that game based off of their vocabulary of the game. So like if I sit here and like someone's like, oh yeah, bro, I'm really good, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, can you tech? Can you spot dodge? Do you roll? And they're like, huh? And I'm like, oh, let's play then.
Some kid was asking me if I play with tilt controls, and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that is, but I'm gonna wreck you. So here we go. Tilt
controls. I don't remember. I've heard of it before, but
some stupid shit. But he's just like, yeah, bro, like I'm the best. Like he just kept running his fucking mouth, and like if he's ever listening to this, like cool, whatever. But this is the same kid that was like begging me to follow him on Instagram. Before I get into like what the day looked like, there was something because you brought up Elon Musk and it reminded me of a tweet that he put out. And it's a picture.
His Twitter is pure fucking gold.
It's so good. It's a picture of him as a kid and Billie Eilish. Mm-hmm. And it says, one day Billie Eilish was walking outside and she saw a boy crying. She said to him, here, kid, have a roll of air conditioning paracoil 1/4 inch by 3/8 inch 410A 20 meter poly lithium, I don't fucking know, UV protected insulated copper heat resistant to 120C. You're destined to do great things. That boy was Elon Musk.
That's so
and he fucking tweeted it and he said, and I am forever grateful. Like this guy, dude, he's a fucking genius and he's so fucking funny.
On one side of the adults trying to understand memes and relate to kids spectrum is Hillary Clinton.
Oh yeah.
And then the other side is Elon Musk, who literally tweets fucking like UWU, like uwu shit. Do you know what that is? It's like it's literally like it's a whole thing of like the whole anime culture online, because he tweets a bunch of that shit, and it's literally a face that's supposed to be like a cute face.
He does or she does?
What do you mean?
Who tweets that?
Elon Musk.
Oh, I thought you were saying she does.
No. She wouldn't know shit about that. Okay. That's like dark internet.
That's why I was saying like she's trying too fucking hard.
No. If she would have tweeted that shit, she might have actually got some points. But she all she does is fucking dab on Ellen. Like. But Elon Musk will tweet shit where it's like, oh, dude, like a lot of people who spend their lives on the internet don't know about those kind of memes, and you're cultured in that shit. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, dude, he's like a huge, I mean, on top of like everything else with anime and all that, he's a huge video game nerd too. Mm-hmm. Like loves all that shit. And there was an interview he did with the kid, and the kid was like talking to him about video games, and he was like Elon Musk was talking about, I think, Portal and something else. And Portal, if you haven't played Portal, Caleb, like you got to play Portal. It's a really good game.
I've heard of it.
But he brings it up, and then this dude just says something along the lines of like, "Oh yeah, like something about Super Mario," and it's like, dude, huh? Like you're bringing up one of the most basic intro games. Like we get it, it is a good game, but that's not
how you relate to a gamer, quote unquote.
Like, oh yeah, I play Super Mario. It's like, okay, the waking up thing and going back to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't want to like read too much into it because I can't find it that quickly. But the first thing that I looked up when I put waking up and going back to sleep is bad for you. It says if you're not getting enough sleep, your alarm clock is going off while your temp is still in deep sleep range.
Your what?
Is in the deep sleep range?
No, your temp?
Yeah. Temperature, I think.
Temporal lobe?
It just says temp, so it could either be temporal lobe or temperature.
Oh.
Why snoozing can be bad for you now. Like we said, the body needs some time to get you ready to wake up.
I am Nick, and I read like a
well, because no, the way they're phrasing it and the way that it's highlighted, I'm fucking jumping ahead. Like we said, the body needs some time to get you ready to wake up. When you let yourself go back to sleep, your body thinks false alarm. So basically, like your brain is how I see it is when you wake up, your brain is speeding back up because everything, goes to a resting state. Your heart rate goes to a resting state. And so you start waking up and then you fall back asleep. So it like raises and falls and raises and falls. And it's just, that's not, it's like
it would be like turning on a car and turning off, turning on a car, turning it off.
I was saying this to a friend the other day. I was like, it's like resetting a computer when it says don't reset. Like you're not supposed to do that. So yeah, you're just supposed to wake up when you wake up. But the day, I was giving you like a brief summary of like the day and talking about a few things. But today I gave presentations to schools on a career day because Caleb's younger brother asked their mom to ask me if I would do a career day at his brother's school.
Yeah, basically middle school has career day and we need speakers at the middle school because my mom's running this whole thing.
Yeah.
And my little brother's like, get Nick to do it. He's a photographer. He has like a not every day 9-to-5 job. So have him go out there and
it was really fucking cool. I threw together like this little like 10-page presentation, which was super corny, but it was just the fact to hit like random points and just showed some of my photography and talked about like the job that I do and, just hit main points. And then, once the presentation was over,
this is the hot chick I shot. Click. This is the other hot chick I shot. Click. This is the third hot chick I shot. Click. Anyone else want to be me? This is the
anyone else want to be me? So when we, flip the lights back on and the kids start asking their questions, like the first 2 classes were actually like interested in talking about,
you were driving. You were like 4th class could suck a dick though.
Because like, okay, I'll get to that class in a second. First class was great. It was like rough because like that's the first presentation, and then they asked their questions. Everybody was interested. They did all their stuff. I got asked some pretty cool questions that I didn't even think about. Like one of the questions people kept asking me was, "Are there any health hazards in your job?" And I'm like, I didn't even think like kids would give a shit about this.
Don't you just care about cartoons, candy, and the opposite sex?
Don't you just want to like be popular on Instagram and all that other shit? And so like some kids were like showing me their photos and asking for like my take on them, and
that's cool.
That was cool.
Geez, you all fucking suck.
No, there were actually a couple photos that I saw where I was like, whoa, like that's genuinely good. Like good on you for having that eye already. And they were taken with their phone, so it was like okay, dope. And they're like these little like iPhone, like old school iPhones because they're small, like the cheaper ones.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you took that with that camera. That camera's crap. Yeah. Like that's impressive.
You know what's crazy is you very well might have made a photographer with your presentations.
All I want.
You might have made a photographer. Like there is. Like, say we fast forward 10 years, there's some like 23-year-old photographer who's like, yeah, one day like this guy came at career day and talked about being a photographer, and I finally realized what I wanted to do, and I started pushing for it, and like I owe it to him, like the reason I found my passion.
And that's all I want, because like we had the presentation, and at the end of each one, because I did 4 different classes, at the end of each one, I asked the kids, I said, how many of you know what you want to do? And like barely any raised their hand in each class.
Like, good.
And I was like, and how many of you don't? And then the rest of them raised their hand. I said, either answer is good. I was like, either answer works. I was like, I had no idea what the hell I wanted to do until I was 21. I was like, I screwed around all through middle school, all through high school. Then I moved to Washington. That didn't work out. Then I moved back to California and went to college for 2 years until finally my second year in my 4th semester ever in college, I took a photography and a video editing class, and I was like, that's it, that's what I want to do. And I dropped out, and I told them this. I was like, I'm a college dropout, like quote unquote college dropout.
Yeah. I'm Bill Gates.
And a lot of these kids, like some of them that weren't paying attention, like lifted their head, and they were like, wait, you dropped out? I'm like, yeah, you don't need.
You broke the system.
And
they look at you like you're fucking Maze Runner.
I looked at the teacher, and I was like, hey, and she was like, no, like I'm all for it. She told me later, she's like, I don't think everybody needs to go to college. And I'm like, you need to tell the kids this, like, because everybody
thinks it's a straight pipeline.
That's it. It's like college, get out, get a good job, die.
With high school, the only thing high school like focuses on is college. It's you need good SAT scores for the colleges. You need good ACT scores for the colleges. Right. If you take AP classes, they work as credits for the colleges.
Everything's
like,
college.
Oh, so this is pre-college. This isn't high school. It's pre-college.
Right.
And then it's always the teacher's asking you, so where are you going to school after this? It's not like, what are you going to do with your life?
Right. And I told them, I said, look, I don't really remember ever having a career day. And I was like, and even if we did, like, it was people that never really talked to us about who we were and what we wanted to do. It was like, this is my job. This is what I do. You should be an engineer. And it's like, you should be an engineer. Well, I'm just using that as the example because you can make that way more exciting, dude. You can be like, I work on fucking planes. These things that take you from point A to point B. This shit is sick.
You know how many people in the Middle East this fuckers have killed?
Oh my God. Start fucking losing your shit.
fucking like American national anthem plays in the background.
Flag drops. Starts firing off guns in the classroom. So
Eagle swoops through the fucking window.
But I was like asking them what they want to do, and I was telling them, I was like, if you don't know what you want to do, that's fine. I was like, but think about it and like look into other jobs and like ask people about what they do and learn everything that you possibly can. I was like, look, and I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not trying to be, listen to your teachers. I was like, straight up, I was like, I need to watch my language in the next thing that I say, but like I was going to say, like, listen to your fucking teachers, because I wish I would have. Like there were so many teachers in middle school and in high school and even in college that, like in college, I took it more seriously because at that time, that's when I started like shaping up. But like middle school and high school, I didn't fucking listen. And then I go back to some of the lessons that I remember hearing and I'm like, oh, like that's what they meant.
I think a huge part of it though is how well the teachers can actually connect with the students, because there are so many teachers that I soaked in so much information from because I absolutely loved the teacher. Whereas there were other classes that I loved the subject, hated the teacher, which ended up making me hate the subject.
Right. But there are also, different perspectives. I mean, if the teacher's really shitty, the teacher's really shitty. But like the way that the teacher that I was speaking to, that I was presenting in her class, in between the breaks, we were having conversations and she's just like, it wears down on you. She's like, I've been doing it for 24 years. And she's like, and these kids don't understand that like I deal with 120 of them, but they only see themselves as one. And so if they're not having a good day and they want to take it out on me, they're not the only one doing that. There's like 20 others. And then you have the ones that always talk back and the ones that don't ever want to do their work and the ones that complain the second I open my mouth. And she's like, and it gets draining. And she's like, and then that sometimes unfortunately affects my attitude toward other kids. And I'm like, oh, so it's just this vicious cycle.
Yeah, it is.
Of like, if you just let people talk and don't interrupt over them and don't, imagine doing it 24 years of kids just saying like, I don't fucking care. Like that's got to suck, dude. And so that's why I was telling these kids like, look, I'm not trying to be like your teacher's like their pet. I'm not trying to be like get on their good side. Like genuinely listen to what they have to say. Like they got to where they're at for a reason.
Yeah.
Like they worked their ass off. They went to school all those years just to stand up in front of you and try and help you get some education.
One of the things that I used to hate seeing and see on like social media is like when you see like that fucking like bad kid who's mouthing off and talking shit and just acting like a total fucking dick and ends up making like the teacher cry. Like that shit boils my blood more than a lot of shit does. And it's just because like this person cares so much about you that they went through so much schooling and are getting paid less than they should to go out here and like live their dream, which is helping you learn and become a better person, and you shit on that and make them cry.
And it's fucked up.
You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah, and it's like imagine dealing with that for 24 fucking years.
Yeah, I know. I being a coach now, I
coach for
baseball. I've talked about it a lot on here.
Have you?
Yeah. Like, literally within the first couple episodes.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I forgot with Jordan and whatnot.
Yeah, with being a coach, like makes me super interested in being a teacher. Like,
would that be something you actually want to do?
It would be something I'd look for doing like maybe later in my life. Like not something I'd want to spend my prime doing. It would probably be something like like I have the chance to retire and live my life comfortably and do that, or I could go like have fun and be a teacher and teach like an elective and be like that like fun ass high school teacher that everyone like fights to get classes for.
Right.
And that would be fun to me. or literally being a college professor, something like that.
And get paid jack shit.
Huh?
I said and get paid jack shit.
Yeah, no, that's the whole point. Is like I'd go do it because I enjoy it and I'm already living comfortably.
Yeah, that's fair.
Rather than just like and I don't know, fucking do it for like 2 years and then dip.
One of the teachers, or the teacher that I was in her room, she's like, I've been teaching for 24 years. She was talking about how like last year she just broke making 100,000 for the year. And I'm like, after 24 years?
Damn.
Like that fucking, like,
damn,
that's great.
You put her name and her money out there like that.
I didn't put her name out there.
Oh yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
I noticed you did.
No, that's not, I talked about Mrs. Hart. That's my 5th grade teacher. This isn't the teacher that.
I thought it was Mrs. Hart's class.
No. Didn't talk about. But what I'm saying is like, she just broke that, and it was like, damn, dude, like that's got to be rough.
That's a lot of fucking money for a teacher.
It's a lot of fucking money, but that's also think about 24 years.
No, yeah, I know. Like that's I think
as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But that's like doctors, dude. Like that's fucking nuts. Some doctors, not like fucking the crazy surgeons. Like I know they make,
but it's just
triple
like
that. But like
it's good. It's good for her. But you can see like she even straight up talks about. She's like, you know, there are just times where like I'm thinking about doing something else. I just don't know what yet. And so I was talking to her about that. Like I didn't mean to give her like the whole inspirational speech, but I was like, you still can. Like you're still
live your life, shaking her shoulders, do your dreams.
Like she helped her kids get to where they're at. Like one kid's in college, one kid's doing like video editing and like playing instruments and whatnot, and they're both legal adults. So it's like you've done your job.
You're about to have an empty nest. What you gonna do with it?
Right, like that mixed in with the fact of now you can live for you. Like you did your job, you did your due diligence with your kids. Go have a life. And she was talking about like going to work in a museum and being like, you know, an instructor or a teacher there. And I was like, that's fucking cool, dude.
That would be really dope.
I was like, that's really like, because you're still doing what you love, and then you're getting into something new. So after those first 2 classes and talking to her a little bit, that's when I saw my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Hart. I mean, I guess I know I said her name 3 times. I don't care. She's a sweet lady and she deserves every bit of recognition in the world. And this was one of the greatest, and this is 5th grade, one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. Like I was explaining to you briefly, we had a thing called Mini City, and it was a large portion of the year. I think it was like the second half of the year we played. So anytime that you went in there, like you did your proper homework and whatnot, she's like, I don't even know how I got away with doing that with classes for years. She's like, because that wasn't technically the like curriculum that I had to follow.
Yeah.
So Mini City, in a small explanation, is literally that. It's a city of which
like the whole class is the city, and then everybody else. It was a group project.
Yeah,
you so
every group was anywhere from 3 to 5 people, and she assigned you like some groups got to choose what they wanted to do, but some of them were assigned different jobs.
I'm sure if you can't pick, she'll pick for you.
Yeah, so it was like ours was an arcade.
But you explain you start your own business.
Right, you start your own business. So every group of kids with their individual tables has something to offer, right? So like our business was an arcade. There was another business which was like a grocery store. So they actually sold like, and when I say sold, I'll get to that in a second, but there was like grocery stores, and there was like a medical center, and you know, all sorts of different things. Everything a society needs to function.
Weed shop.
and so we got.
And now those kids actually sell weed. It was great.
She was the like government essentially. So she paid us checks, and we had X amount of money to put into our businesses, rent our business space, depending on how many people were there, it was split amongst them, pay our bills, and then with whatever excess money, we could go buy the goods that we need or whatever extra that we wanted to add to our shops. And then we had to go out and actually convince other people within the city to come to our shops and purchase our goods. Like we had drinks at the arcade. We had like little snacks. I literally brought a TV and a GameCube and had that set up. That was my station. And so like we had all this cool shit. And I think eventually there was another arcade that opened, and it was like our competitors, and they had some cooler games than us. So like we were losing business, and we had to find out ways.
We started fake rumors about them, and it totally tanked their business.
And we tried to figure out like how we can buy their games off of them, and if we can like everything, dude. Like we were doing.
Then Mrs. Hart struck us down with the Antitrust Act. We couldn't monopolize the system, so we rebelled and we went to the other city.
And I think I remember just learning so much from that and realizing like. And her telling us like, this is how the real world is. And from 5th grade up until now, I still have not been taught anything about running anything financial. I wrote my very first check at my second job at my yogurt shop job that I worked at. That was where I wrote my first check. I could have fucked it up and bankrupted or put the whole store under because
is that a 0 at the end of
like
that?
I didn't know what to do. Like, yes, obviously you write a certain amount, but like if I fuck it up, are they going to be able to like screw it up? Whatever the case, right?
At my first job, my boss was like, yeah, can you write a check for this? And I was like, oh, I was like, okay, I'm just going to send you a picture step by step, make sure I don't do it wrong.
Right.
And he's like, you don't know how to write a fucking check? And I was like, no.
No, because
I was born at the end of the 90s, dude. I don't know how to write a check.
And it sucks because like you get into the real world and you have no fucking idea how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
So, met up with that teacher. We're just shooting shit, just catching up. In fact, I might shoot her daughter's wedding.
Whoa.
This is dude, it's like you go and do something you're really stoked on. You're really like proud that you're able to present to kids and hopefully like inspire them to do something. And then you also get work and you run into an old teacher.
You also chase that bag.
And like, you get the bags. And then like, it was just a really cool day. The third class that I did, 4th period, only like 6 of them. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it. Fuck them kids.
I'm going to describe them to a T.
No, what I was going to say is like, fuck them kids, but it's a joke.
No, fuck them kids.
6 of them that were being like straight the fuck up. One of them, because I showed some of the models that I worked with. One of them saw a model that I worked with and was like, oh, it's something blah, blah, blah. I'm going to beat my meat to that later.
That's awful.
Dude, I was like, what the fuck did I just hear, dude?
If somebody in 8th grade dared me to say that out loud, I never would have done any shit like that.
Where do you get the fucking courage?
You don't even gotta dare that kid. It's just masturbation.
Like, and he said it loud enough, and some of the girls were like, yo, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Like, I got so, and I looked at the teacher, I said, next slide. Like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And it was just, they were like all over this chick. And I'm like, what is going, and I'm trying to talk over them and they're just running their mouths. And I'm like, at this point, I want to tell them to shut the fuck up. But you know, like you're in an 8th grade class, you can't say that.
That's what I've noticed. Cause like, ironically, the kids that you gave presentations to were the same age group of the kids that I coach.
Right.
And you might have actually got some of my kids from my baseball team in there. And you're so lucky I wasn't there because I talked back to these kids like bad.
Well, that's where I was caught, and it's like,
and it's different because you have a classroom atmosphere, and I'm at the park,
right? And that's different, and that's where it's like a catch-22 because I'll talk shit to your brother all day long,
but my brother's like 20.
I am
even
considered.
Though he's not.
I know. Kailas' brother is 13, and he literally blends in with our group of 21 to 24 year olds. Like, it's so
weirdo.
fucking, it's wild. So like when I was seeing him sit in the 4th class that I taught, like I told
he was in the class with the shitty kids?
No, with the one of the better classes. He was in the fourth
one.
Sorry. They were 4th period, but the 3rd class that I taught was a shitty class.
Oh.
5th period was the 4th class I taught, which had your brother.
You didn't do 1st period?
No, I did 1st and 2nd. 3rd was a skip. 4th was the 3rd class that I taught.
What happened with 3rd?
That's where there's a break for the teacher, so it's a prep break.
Okay.
So anyway, like those kids are just wilding the fuck out, and I'm just like, I'm in a professional, like I'm the adult here.
Yeah,
literally. Now I can stop and be like, you know, you got to be respectful. Then they're just going to start talking. Yeah, literally, they're already talking shit.
You do that and you start trying to put the hammer down on 8th graders.
They're going to come right back. They're going to talk shit about you. They're going to ruin the presentation. So I just was like ignoring it. And I was like, yo, like I told them, I was like, yo, like, all right, we're done. Like that's a little odd. And so then we moved on and finally they stopped.
Hey, buddy, please put your dick back in your pants.
But these are the same kids that were asking me like, yo, you ever hooked up with any of the girls that you photographed? I'm like,
you're like, actually, you can see here on slide 2.
But I was just like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Like, what are you doing?
It's because this is what I've noticed with coaching kids that are fucking 13 years old, roughly anywhere around there, 13 to 15, is they are literally like experiencing adult thoughts, adult feelings, and adult emotions and urges in a child's body.
Which will just react to anything.
And it's so weird for them.
Yeah.
And
I
so
mean, we've
like,
all been there.
I know, but like watching it from the outside's way different, especially now that you're an adult now. And like seeing these kids and like hearing kids on my team just going like, oh yeah, and then I like grabbed her ass and I was making out with her and like, oh yeah, like this chick thick and everything and all this stuff. And I'm like,
it's fucking creepy.
It's fucking weird.
And it's like, you remember being that age and talking about it too. And
but yeah, you said those same things
but
when you were that age.
In a respectful manner. Like you only did that around your friends.
No, that's what I'm saying is I'm around the kids with their friends and they see me as a friend. So I hear the worst of it. Right. And so hearing it, I'm like, I totally get why my parents didn't treat me like an adult when I wanted to be treated like an adult because I felt like one. Because weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I'm like, fuck, I remember being that age and going like, why doesn't anyone respect me? I finally start feeling like I'm an individual and like I can keep up with like these people who are more mature than me. Like I can finally have conversations with them that don't like go along the lines of, I want a Nerf gun. I actually can like talk about like non-tangible things and have these like complex thoughts and everything. And now I want to be a part of this conversation and people are like, no. And I'm like, why? And so like, I will treat these kids to a degree of, I'll let them get to a degree of comfortability with me, subject wise, language wise, all the shit that their parents wouldn't let them get with them.
Yeah.
And I get to like hear their like more sincere thoughts on things. And like they open up to me on certain like topics of like bullying or like how to go about girls and shit. And it's like, then I see the other coaches and how they're like treating them as like these little soldiers that they need to whip up into shape.
Yeah.
And then like how you said, how you didn't want to like put the hammer down on the presentation and then get even more resistance back. I've had coaches come up to me and go, how the hell do you get the kids to listen to you? Or specifically this kid to listen to you, because I've had him on my team before and he would not listen to me no matter how strict I got with him. And I was like, I let him do what he wants. And he's like, huh? And I'm like, I let him do whatever the fuck he wants.
Kid.
Yeah, because this kid was disrespectful. Don't get me wrong. Like he would do, you tell him to do something and he wouldn't do it. And he would just go do whatever the hell he wants. And I looked at him, took very close notes and went, I'm going to let him do what he wants. And I let him run fucking free and do whatever the hell he wants and everything. And then he did it for about 5 minutes. And then he came up to me and I told him to do something and then he did it. And parents and adults are so uncomfortable with allowing them to go do what they want because they feel like it's just going to be that like that for the whole couple hours. And shit, if it is, then your kid has a problem. And you really need to like
so your
do
whole
something
thing is
about
like
it.
a quid pro quo type of thing?
I'm unfamiliar with the term.
Quid pro quo, I think, is like this for that, I believe. Let me see before I fuck this up. Quid pro quo means a favor or advantage granted or expected in return for something. So you're letting them do something in return for something else.
So like in a sense, like everyone sees their kids and they feel like they need to put some type of like non-tangible leash on them. Some people literal leashes on their kids, but they feel like they need to like put a leash on their kid or else their kid isn't going to like learn or isn't going to shape up or, you know, they're going to do like dumb, bad shit. I see it as if you put a fence away from the kid, like say you put boundaries around what they can do, but you put them so far out that they don't feel like they are fenced in, then they'll stay within your range. And so I'm not saying go let them do drugs, go let them have sex whenever they want or whatever, but I am saying like let them goof off, let them say some bad words, talk about some bad shit that they shouldn't talk about. And then when it comes down to it, they will respect the hell out of you because they're finally being treated seriously like an individual.
Yeah, it's the whole thing of like it's when parents are like, I can't relate to my child. And it's because you're not, that's going to pick up too. Just giving you a heads up. It's the whole thing of like, I can't relate to my child.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, that's because you're not trying to relate to them.
Yeah, it's because you don't
can't expect it to just be a one-way thing.
Exactly.
Like, sometimes you just got to talk shit with your kids, dude.
I talk so much shit with these kids. Like, for instance, I'm giving a speech at the end of a game, right? Trying to summarize the game, talk about what we need to improve on, what I was happy about.
Yo, you fucking sucked out
there. And a kid will be like, oh, I did this and I did this, and interrupt me and everything, and be like, oh yeah, well the other team called me a bitch and blah 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 and all this stuff. And I was like, the only one calling you a bitch right now is me. Sit down. And the rest of the team went ooh and everything. And this kid had never been talked to by an adult like that in his life, and was like, oh. And so it's me, Joel, Dalton, and J-Boog are the coaches, and Joe are all the coaches on this team.
Joe's a big boy.
Yeah, but Joe's not around as much because he's busy a lot.
Yeah.
But Joel and J-Boog don't talk shit back to the kids. They just sit there and either take it. Joel does a little bit, or they like tell them to stop or whatever and everything. But they don't really like talk shit back. And so without any, like, I'm not surprised at all that they're the ones that get picked on the most by the kids. The kids eat them up like a tank of piranhas, dude. They go awfully hard on them, especially J-Boog. Like, we'll be sitting here and the kid will look at J-Boog and he'll be like, he's like, you look like a black Buddha. And I'm sitting here and I look over and I go, you gonna get him back, Jordan? He's like, no, I'm not trying to hurt his feelings. I'm like, fucking get him back,
not
dude.
Trying
Like,
to hurt his feelings. He literally just
back.
called you a big black guy.
Yeah,
like,
I'm like, talk shit back, bro. And he's like, no. And they see that and they're like, kill. And their eyes turn red and they all gang up on it. When I'm telling you that, like, right as soon as I was done giving a speech to the kids, and I was like, all right, break, like, go home and everything. All the kids had been planning the entire game to take out Jordan at the end of the game, like J-Boog, to take him out at the end of the game. And so I was like, all right, go home, like angels. And we all did our chant. And then they all rushed him and they all, like, one grabbed the leg, the other grabbed the leg, the other one like tackled his torso and he hit the fucking ground. He hits the ground. They're all on top of him. His ass is hanging out. One of them stole his wallet and ran away. The other one took his keys, everything mobbed. And they wouldn't dare do that shit to me because they'll nip at me and I'll smack them right back.
Right.
And so, like, I don't play shit. Like, I'll literally, like, and that was fucking loud as fuck. But
honestly,
like,
that doesn't matter. I was just talking about this mainly, but claps, I don't give a fuck.
But yeah, like, I don't take their shit. I will cuss back at them. I will make fun of them for the shit they're bragging about. I will embarrass them in front of the team. And all it gets out of them is like, oh shit, I gotta respect this guy. I gotta listen to what he says and do what he wants.
It's good.
Because he lets me goof around. He goofs around with me. But when it's time to listen, like, if I hear his voice raise, shit, I'm fucking straight up, okay, what do we need to do?
Yeah, like my nephew, I relate very heavily with my nephew on all sorts of levels, but especially because, like, he's more of an emotional kid. And so, like, obviously, being that I'm the emotional kid that and always have been, I know how to get him on different levels that no one else does. And so, like, we have that mixed in with that we always, like, played when he was a kid and we still, like, play now. And he plays Fortnite a lot, or used to. That got taken away. But he would get, like, angry at a game, right? And he'd turn around and he'd take the fit out on me.
Ooh.
And I'd be like, hey, none of that shit. And he's just like, and he'll still be mad. And I was like, you drop the look right now, or I swear to God, I'll send you to your room. I don't care. Like, I'm just babysitting you. I'm not your dad. I don't have to feel bad for you. Like, you just get to go to your room. And his face drops. I'm like,
so many
just
kids,
nip it, dude. That's it. You just get it in the butt while it's there.
Yeah, so many kids are smart. And when parents are kind of blind a lot to their own kid because of that, like, parental love that they have. But kids are maniacally clever. And
they're
so
very fucking quick.
They will see when a parent is trying to bluff them and they will call it right in front of their face.
Oh, yeah.
And that happens a lot. And so you'll see a parent be like, well, don't do this because I'll take this away from you. I'll inflict punishment. Don't make me do it. And then they'll go, oh, okay, so I'll just flirt with the line then. I'll just flirt with the line. I won't cross the line. I won't do what you said again, but I'll get really close and look you in the eyes when I do it. And then you're like, well, I laid that boundary down. What am I going to do now? And they're not crossing it, but they're purposely fucking with me.
Right.
So, and the parents usually just let the shit slide because they didn't technically break the law that they set down. And
that just kind of pushes the boundaries more and more.
Exactly, because then it makes the boundaries push.
It doesn't look like anything's being crossed because they're they're drawing the new line each time.
Yeah, but they are testing your authority.
Oh, yeah. And until one day the parents go, what the fuck happened?
Exactly.
What do you mean what
stick
happened?
to your guns.
Yeah, you you slipped up for years.
Yeah, and
And
so
now
like,
they're out there fucking racing cars because you bought them that car. Like you brought this on yourself.
did I
What?
did I tell you about that?
You raced?
No.
What?
There's a kid on my team that does that shit or has done that shit. He's
13?
13.
And
I'm
he
not going to name him.
races?
I'm not going to name who he is. Sneaks out of his house on occasion, takes his parents' car and street races. Shows up to practice with new shoes and a new chain. He's like, yeah, I got this shit for my money, like for my winnings. He's like, I paid this one old lady's rent one time. And I'm like, you're gonna fucking die. Stop. And he's like, all right, stop. He's like, I already stopped because like my friends went and I was gonna go with them, but then I didn't end up going. And then one of my friends' moms found out and called the cops on them. And so like they got in big trouble. So I learned my lesson and I'm not gonna go do it again. I'm like, good, because that's like the dumbest shit you could do. And then next day, new shit. And I'm like, oh, you dumbass, stop doing this. And like, I'm not his parent. But like, fuck, bro.
What?
Yeah, I know.
What?
I know.
I wouldn't fucking dare.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And then he got caught.
Oh no.
He got caught.
By the cops?
No, by his mom.
Oh no.
His mom caught him after he was driving the car back.
Oh
And
my
she
god!
called
Oh
the
my
cops
god! Oh
on
my
him.
god! Imagine the fuck. Go back because there was one time I came around the corner. My dad had told me I was not allowed to ride somebody's electric scooter because that thing was way too fast. He was right because somebody ended up getting hit by a car on it.
Oh fuck!
Later, and I came around the corner and my dad is standing outside with his arms crossed. And that
You feel your stomach
and so
hit the
when that kid
ground.
came around that corner, I just got that same feeling. My
That
stomach dropped
Hit
up
in your
like
stomach, yeah.
like my dad. Love my dad. He really is a great dude. But like, you know, you can smack your kids around sometimes when they're really fucking around. Like when they're fucking up bad, you fucking smack them.
When they turn that corner on that
And
electric
dude,
scooter.
when we would get in trouble by our dad, it was like, oh fuck, like you would get sick because you know
Yeah.
that you're getting fucking
your
hit
tail goes in
hard.
between your legs.
Oh yeah. Like there was one time I told my dad, again, love my dad, great dude, gave me a wonderful life.
But man, he had a hard right hook.
But this motherfucker, I told him we were moving. I was 13, moving to the west side of town, to our new house because we were on the east side of town. And I don't know why that part of the story was. It doesn't fucking matter. I was like, the toolbox should go here, like in the moving truck. And he is like, no, I want it here. I was like, it should go there. Like that's all I said. Fucking pulls back his hand and smacks me across the face. And I mean like hard as fuck, dude. Like my jaw hurt. And I was like, what the? Like I said either what the fuck or Jesus Christ under my breath. Hand goes back for a second one. Smacks me in the exact same power and place as the first one. And I was like, fuck this. I'm done. And I walked away. Dude, that was the last time he ever hit me. And he felt fucking bad because he knew. He was like, if he would have had a knife, I honestly would have stabbed him. I'm not kidding. Because you have to think, when you get hit in the face that hard twice,
Animal rage.
It's animal. The fucking just pure like, I gotta fucking kill this thing. Like, because it hurts, dude. You can't think.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was this, and he had, like you said, a mean right hook, but an open hand.
Yeah.
Like that shit came back hard. And fuck, man, like whenever we'd get in trouble, that's all we would think about is dad's gonna whoop our fucking ass.
Yeah, and I'm actually like a huge proponent of not touching your kids.
Oh yeah, me too. Like especially because like I got hit as a kid.
I love there was a fucking joke and I cannot remember what it was, but it was like basically someone making fun of that part of Twitter that's like, oh, I grew up with it type shit. And it was talking about how like they had like violent problems. Like, oh yeah, like I can't do this shit without wanting to like fucking like kill somebody. And it's like, oh, it don't affect me, Twitter. Really silent on this one right now. Cause it's like, oh, I grew up with it. And no, people aren't doing it. Y'all a bunch of pussies. Like my parents hit me with the like hard part of a belt. And it's like, yeah, but you're fucked up.
Yeah. And then you go and look at their fucking header and it's like really fucked up like sexual desires.
Yeah, like
I love being hit, and it's like, yeah, you don't think that maybe like did something to you possibly?
And like no fucking disrespect on the people that got hit. Like you don't got a choice in that.
Yeah, no.
But like to act like it's totally cool to then like continue that tradition in the family line. That's where you're fucking up.
Yeah.
I have no problem with people who got hit like Why would I? But like the people who are like, oh, well, you know, my parents did it to me. Therefore, my unborn kid's fate is sealed that I'm going to fuck him up when I don't like him. Like,
Yeah.
huh?
Like,
Bro.
again, I want to stress the fact that like abuse is terrible. Like my dad never abused us ever. It
edgy
was
take, Nick.
Huh?
I said edgy take, Nick.
What'd you say?
I said edgy take, Nick.
Edutake?
Edgy
Oh,
take.
edgy take. I thought you were saying edutake, like educate, but edutake. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
You were just like, I just want to stress the point that abuse is bad. And I was like, it's an edgy take.
I just want to like stress that because like I don't want anybody to slip up again. I showed you what happened with Joe Rogan's thing. I want to make everything very clear. Side note, more recently, right before we started this podcast, I saw a post from Joe Rogan and he had posted that there was an AI computer
generated version of his voice.
Correct. And it is good.
It's the most accurate one I've heard yet.
And it literally sounds just like him. And it's something he never said. It's like talking about like a monkey hockey team or something like that. It's nothing he ever mentioned, but it literally sounds like an ad for something that he could talk about.
I only heard little small flaws in it that made me go, oh, I think this might be AI. But the fact that I had to go, this might be AI is standing the test alone.
Of course. And like that's starting now. So now this just is me re-emphasizing the point of making sure everything I say is clear so that I can go back to it and be like, no. This was the original take right here. Don't cut it up. Don't use my voice for other things. That's now you get it. Now everybody, if anybody wants to hear it, you can go look it up. It's going to be right fucking there.
I'm not going to clarify too hard on some things like abuse is bad because like I'm just going to be like, nah, if you think I don't think that, you don't know me.
Right, of course, but you have to also understand if there's new people coming in and like the joke is misunderstood. Like I just want to make sure like there is joking, obviously, there's comedy, and that's when you can be like that was a joke, that was comedy. But anyway, point being is that I don't know, we got off topic with like kids and being bad and all that other shit. I just want to like finish up the point on the whole school thing. With that third class, some of the kids were bad, asking dumb questions. Some of them were cool,
so
asking
I
cool
hit them.
questions. Jesus. And I mean, I did. So
hey, this is a Sony camera.
And then your brother's
Sony.
your brother's class came in, and they were all like really cool, genuine people. Like a lot of those kids are going to grow up and be fine in high school. Mm-hmm. There are a few that I can tell are just going to have some issues that just weren't paying attention, talking the whole time, being rude, don't really care, asking stupid questions.
You know what's crazy is like you see shit like that and it's like a direct reflect of the kid's parents. It's almost like you're getting like you have like a glass into their like home life
to some extent,
because it's either their parents have these bad tendencies or bad problems and it's rubbing off on the kids, or these kids are hanging around people who have these bad tendencies and their bad problems and the parents aren't noticing.
Yeah, so I mean,
either
it can
way,
be a
you have
reflection
parents,
of the parents.
So you have parents not caring enough and neglecting and not noticing that shit's taking a sour turn, or the parents are the direct problem. And so either way,
or there's a third option of just some kids are fucking bad seeds, dude. Some kids are bad seeds. My dad was very fucking strict on the things that I got to do. Yeah, he didn't understand me, so that's maybe why I was acting up. But he watched everything I did, made sure I was respectful, always checked my grades, always put me in check, and I always defied everything he told me to do.
Yeah, and there's a level of disconnect between you two.
So like that's what I'm saying.
And
is
that's
like,
why.
It's a disconnect, but it wasn't necessarily his fault nor mine.
And that's essentially what I'm
right.
making
So
the point.
That's what I'm saying. There's like a third option of like maybe it's not the parents that aren't paying attention, and my dad's also not a shithead I was.
So we'll say like either shitty parents, neglect, or disconnect. And I'm totally down for more options, but I think those three sum up the majority of them.
I'd say the disconnect for sure. That's I'd say disconnect actually plays plays a very big part in a lot of parenting, because it's just like if you don't understand your kids and they don't understand you, you can both be really good people and have a really shitty outcome.
Yeah, and you could have like a parent who genuinely cares about a lot about like what you do and how you turn out and everything. Right. But if you don't respect them or their opinions on life, then you don't give a fuck what they tell you.
That was me and my dad.
They could tell you the cure to cancer, you won't listen.
Like all my dad wanted me to do was go to college, get a good job, do the normal life, do what, he did, but better, that kind of thing. But went about it in every bad direction where we never even still have a huge disconnect. And it's like, it's not a problem. Like I owe that guy literally everything. I was talking to my brother about it. I think I brought it up a little briefly on the last podcast, but of like, my brother and I found all of this old music that we used to record, all of these old photos and videos. And it was just like, we had a really cool fucking life, dude. Like, my dad gave us so much opportunity. He didn't want drugs and he didn't want drinking happening. But when it came down to like, yeah, fucking play your music 4 hours out of the day, 5 hours out of the day. I don't care what the neighbors think. If I'm home on the weekends, I don't care. I'm mowing the lawn. Go do your music. Go be creative. Destroy my fucking house so that you can do something creative. He literally let us, like, we used to move furniture. We used to fucking hang things up. We put holes in the walls trying to do all this different shit. He didn't care. He just wanted us to have fun and be creative as long as, you know, we were doing well in school and all of that. He gave us literally everything. He just didn't understand me. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying is like disconnect. So it's like, I owe him a lot. Like, literally, it's nuts how much shit we have because of that. So with all of that and those kids and whatnot, yeah, I agree. I think those three things
it's like
touch very nicely.
It's a nice little like peephole.
Shit parents neglect or disconnect.
Yeah, into the household of going like, you don't even like, because I've come to the point where I don't even blame the kid because I'm like, you're too young to like take the blame of how you turned out.
Yeah.
Once you're in your 20s,
that's when it starts setting
then it's
in.
Like, then it's like you're an individual. You have your own choices to make. You should be better by now because there are people who used to be just as shitty as you, if not worse, and are good people now. And if they did it within that amount of time, you had the same amount of time to do it.
Right. And that's why I always tell people, like, whenever my biggest thing that I'm a huge subscriber of is like, just because you had shitty upbringing, shitty backgrounds doesn't mean you get to be a shitty person.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to be a shitty. I don't care. You can change it for the better, dude. My story is all sorts of fucked up. My family stories are all sorts of fucked up. We're all good people, or at least we try to be. Like, so just to get back to those kids, because your brother's class was dope. They were asking some interesting questions. They were asking like different stuff. They're showing me photos of theirs. And, you know, a lot of kids wanted to know how much I make per year. And I was like, fuck it. I don't care. I'll tell them. Like,
I'm stacking dough, motherfuckers.
I wanted to be more transparent with them because, like, you know, they don't get to, those questions don't get answered a lot.
Yeah. People refrain from that shit. And then that totally leaves it up to Google, which is like rarely like as accurate as it could be. Or, them going, well, my friend says that they don't make that much money, so I'm not going to want to go do that.
Right. And it's like, why not be transparent and you give them the exact information? It's literally, it's proof. I'm proof of this is what you can make in this field, these kind of things. And a lot of kids had a lot of misunderstandings about the money that's made in fields. Like, one kid wants to be a musician. He's just like, I know musicians that make $300,000 a show. And I'm like, right. That's like Charlie Puth and like John Mayer, where they're making big bucks. I was like, but these guys,
that's crazy. I didn't know you were friends with Mumford and Sons.
And it's like, you got to understand, dude. And I very, very clearly stated this to these classes. Like, no matter what you want to do, whether it's something you know you want to do, or you're not sure yet, or you're just kind of dabbling in it, work fucking hard. Because all these people, there are the few that have the lucky breaks. But even then, once they have the lucky breaks, like, my whole thing of getting into, it's not guaranteed, and you have to work fucking hard. I said, you guys all, like, everybody knows who Kevin Hart is. Everybody in this room, I know you do. I was like, everything that guy seems like, oh, he's got all this money, he does comedy, he has fun. That guy wakes up at 4 or 5 in the morning almost every single day and gets at it.
Yeah,
dude, he has all these, I was explaining, like, all these different projects that you guys don't hear about, all the background stuff that he does, all the meetings and the fucking acting and his family and doing comedy.
You wouldn't be able to get through one of his days.
Literally, you'd fucking fall apart. So it's like, hey, work hard.
Yeah, because you have to give them a realistic idea of what they're going to get into and how hard the challenge is before you just go send them off to go do your passion. Like, yes, if this is what you want to do, then work your ass off and watch the other people around you give up, and that's going to push you even further.
Right.
But know that the term starving artist is popular for a reason.
Yeah.
Because there are more starving artists than there are 300 grand shows.
Right. And even the fucking people that have it big now, most of them were starving artists.
And a lot of them went from rags to riches back to rags.
Yeah. Some of them.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say a lot of them.
Well, I'd say they're over history. There's been a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of them probably have, and we don't hear about them, and we completely forget about them.
Oh
and
yeah,
we
dude.
don't
There are
even know.
so many. Like one of the I still haven't watched it. I really should. Is it's a documentary that 30 Seconds to Mars I believe put together, or at least they're in it, and like I think Linkin Park was in it too, about the industry itself and how fucked all these bands were. I think 30 Seconds to Mars was like at one point either four. I could be fucking this up again. I watched maybe a few parts, but $4 to $10 million in debt because of their music, because of what they've signed, and like all those different things. So it's like, yeah, they seem like they're doing well, but that's what you see. You have no fucking idea what their accounts look like. You have no idea what their stresses look like.
Exactly. You
And
just
so
see their stage.
I was just telling the kids, I was like, look, I'm being as transparent as possible. You ask me whatever you want, and I'm going to try and answer it the best I can. I was like, but I'm not.
So yes, I fucked this model.
Oh my God. I don't ever want my brand looking like that or sounding like that either.
Fucking joking.
I know. I'm talking about these kids. Like that's their first thought of just like, oh, so you work with all these hot chicks? You sleep with all of them? It's like, no.
Well,
like
that's of course it's going to be the 8th grader's first thought. They see a hot chick and they see that you like get to watch them like look like that in front of you. Like their fucking mind's first thing is going to be, oh, did you get it?
I looked at the teacher. I was like, their hormones are running rampant. And she just started laughing. And I was like, I don't even know how to, like, this is what you deal with? And like the kids are laughing. And I'm like, this is so fucking uncomfortable,
See, if
dude.
I was up there, I'd be like, oh, did you bang that chick? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, shut up, virgin.
You don't even know what it's like. So after all of that, like we ended up having lunch, and then that just jumps to like the other weird thing that I pointed out of like, I get that these are kids and like that they can say these things. And now being on the other side of it, it is very uncomfortable for the adults of just like, I went and had lunch with some of the teachers, but my old teacher said that she has like this lunchroom, like it's like a breakfast club kind of thing, but like it's a lunch club. So some of the kids have lunch with her, and it's dope. They have like a get together and they hang out because they like her that much. She really is a fucking awesome human being. She has been teaching for 27 years and fucking loves every single moment of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and still passionate about it. She's much older now than she was when I was in her class. That was 14 years ago.
Actually, she's the same fucking age.
So, but I told her, I was like, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to throw out all that information. I was like, you're that age? I was like, you look fucking fantastic. I was like, I would have never guessed.
What are you doing
like,
later?
She actually, no joke, I think looked a little bit older when I was in 5th grade. Because it's just like she was much bigger at the time because she lost weight overall this time.
Oh, that's nice.
When I was in 5th grade, she was actually in the process of losing the weight. And I remember that because she came in one day after like a week of being gone, and they had tested burning her fat. Like they took like a little skin deposit. So she had like this crater, and she was telling us like how bad it smells when skin is burnt. Yeah. And she was like, it's one of the most nauseating smells I've ever had in my life.
That's probably like hardwired into humans.
Oh yeah.
As we hate the smell of our own
like
death.
Rotting, burning flesh.
Yeah.
Oh God. So she looks great now. And we were all having lunch, and one of these kids came up, this fucking 13-year-old girl, and she's like, you're aware of how hot you are, right? And I'm like, okay, I gotta fucking get out of here. I was like, dude, I'm getting uncomfortable.
You should have looked at her and been like, ew.
I was like, hey, we're not gonna talk about this because you're 13.
Yeah.
And they all started laughing. I was like, no more. Like, let's just hang out. Like, if you guys have questions, cool. If you want to just have a conversation, and the whole time your brother is sitting there because he's part of it, laughing.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you motherfucker, man.
That 13-year-old is 20.
He really is. Like, has the fucking soul of a 20-year-old.
Yeah, the same fucking kick out of it that I would.
Anybody else would. And so then that's where we started playing Super Smash Brothers, whoop those fucking kids' asses, and then now we're here.
A point I wanted to bring up.
Yes.
The fuck was that?
Yes.
A point I wanted to bring up, a question for you.
No.
Good, because I agree. Anyway, so what do you want to talk about now? Point I wanted to bring up. When it comes to humor, is there boundaries for humor? Or is it no holds bar, everything should be able to be joked about because you should be able to distinguish between humor and reality?
Okay. I'm laughing because of the point that I'm about to make. Chris D'Elia on his podcast, literally every episode, and I think he has over 100 episodes, he talks about Tupac. In every episode, and he always meant, hey, fucking there it goes again. Didn't even mean to bring him up, and it happens. Hey, look, Joe Rogan's back. So
Yeah.
on our podcast, dude, at this point, the guy's a fucking hero. I'm always going to talk about him. He's
I
like,
can't wait to one day suck his dick.
oh my god, damn it.
AI can't make me say that because I said it already.
Hey, I can't say it any better than I did. So, the whole comedy thing. The more I listen to his podcast, the more comedians he has on, the more they expand on that idea, the more I'm opening up to it. The more I'm opening up to ideas, period. What I mean by that is, like, honestly, it's no holds bar. Like,
I applaud you because so many people cannot understand that because it pisses me off. I've had this fucking opinion that it's no holds bar since like fucking middle school. Like I've always been like, listen, you should be able to tell when I'm joking and when I'm not joking. There are obviously sensitive subjects for people.
Of course.
And so you know who to say what around and who not to. But if there's no sensitive subjects for the person you're around and you respect, each other and have a good, like you have a good grip on where everyone's values lie, you should be able to joke about whatever the fuck you want and get as bad as you want, as long as everyone knows, hey, it's just humor. And once we turn the humor switch off, we can still have our opinions of these things that we just joked about.
right. And like, okay, so one of the examples where I will agree that this was one of the only ones I would have held back to was there was a comedian who had no fucking limits, no boundaries whatsoever. And I think he was like, he'd be drunk on stage most of the time. And this was like an old comedian, again, heard it on a podcast. And one of the club owners, I forget which club it was, but her name was Mitzi, and she had like passed away last year. Mitzi is like, if you go up to any comedian, literally any big comedian, and bring up Mitzi, they'll just talk about Mitzi forever. She just ran this club. Everybody loves her. Everybody knew her. She was a comedian, I believe, herself. Mm-hmm. I think day of or day after 9/11 happened, this comedian was going to go up. And he was already ready to make jokes about it. And she said, no, okay, come on. Not this one. Mm-hmm. This is the only time I'm going to hold you back. You're not getting on stage. And just get him out of here. That's how they were talking, how she would talk. It's just like, no, you can't.
Get him out of here.
That is where I would be like, look, if it's a major
catastrophe,
maybe give it some time.
That's the thing. That's why I said like you need to understand what people are sensitive to and give grace periods. Right. So like and it depends on also how people handle their traumas. Yeah. If someone has like you, for instance, have past traumas that you've told me of that are awful,
and
then at the same time,
you can literally say them.
We can get into it another time, but then you will make jokes about them that I get uncomfortable around because I don't want to offend you by laughing at your own joke. Right. And so it's one of those things where
it must be nice to have a mom, dude.
Yeah, like shit like that, where it's like, fuck, dude. Like I remember, like you literally, like we'll be around and everything, and you'll be like, "Oh, I was at a crack rock. Maybe my mom was around," and I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. Oh my god, I'm so uncomfortable because I'm like, I don't want to laugh at that shit. That's fucking mean, Nick. How dare you say something about yourself like that?
Shit.
And so like there are obviously people like who have gone through probably the same shit or something similar that you have gone through and are not cool with jokes like that at all. And so it totally depends on the case by case situation.
Really, really hope my brothers don't hate me.
But
it's just a joke. Come on.
And that's what it comes down to is when the conversation gets serious and you actually start talking about it, then the real emotions show and your true opinions show. Judge someone by those, not by their humor.
Right. And it's
and one real quick before I cut you off a 15th time.
I've been talking the most, I believe. Welcome back to the Nick and Nick podcast.
Nick and Nick. One of the things is that like when you're going to dive into the abyss with your humor, when you're going to get as raunchy as your brain can fucking conjure, make it funny. Like just cause you're saying edgy shit isn't funny. You have to also be clever and funny.
Oh yeah.
Because there are nice, clean family comedians that would run circles around people who are going to touch on the most sensitive subjects.
Yeah.
Because like you think that your entire shtick is, oh look, I'm saying like edgy
I
things.
also think that as a comedian, you need to like make it clear, and not make it clear that like you don't have to say that was a joke, guys, like at the end of everything. But there are some comedians that will like say some shit and like they're not kidding. They were just saying it as like a point, and it's like that's where you get confused. So I think it's actually more important to know the comedian that you're listening
Exactly. If somebody doesn't know Anthony Jeselnik,
Oh,
and
Jesus
they
fucking
hear
Christ.
Anthony Jeselnik and see that he doesn't even laugh at the shit he says. Oh my God. He was the one who went to a cancer, it was a fucking he went to a hospital with a bunch of cancer patients, and he was just just straight fucking roasting everybody there. Like,
my God,
no holds bar. Like you're bald. Fuck's wrong with you? Like, just shit like that. Like you guys aren't gonna be around for much longer, so I can make whatever jokes I can say, and you won't remember. Like shit like that. No holds bar. And these people are cracking up at it.
Yeah,
because
like,
no one touches that
not,
shit,
dude?
Exactly.
My favorite thing was when everybody was like going after James Gunn for the jokes that he had made that time.
Oh my God.
That somebody they did the same thing to Anthony Jeselnik, and he quoted it, and he said, "Trying to find dirt on me is like is like trying to find a needle in a needle store on Customer Appreciation Day." And I fucking laughed for like 5 or 10 minutes straight. I was like, this is the funniest shit. Because dude, he started one of his comedy specials.
He's like, I will take your baby, cut its head off, and fuck it. And says it with a straight fucking face the entire time. And people like me and Nick are in there crying because of how fucking straight faced he is. And so but if somebody doesn't know Anthony Jeselnik and they hear that shit, they're gonna explode.
Ooh, fuck.
And like, dude, I remember one of like the best jokes, because when it came to cleverness and touching taboo subjects I ever heard, was during the Justin Bieber roast. And I think it was who was making the joke? Who's you've watched some of the celebrity roasts, right? Who's that like chubby dude who's kind of old who wears sunglasses, and he's like been on every single roast?
He basically runs them. Jeff something.
Fuck, I can't remember.
Hold on, I can just look it up. But go on.
It was like him. It was Pete Davidson. There was, I think, Daniel Tosh or something.
Jeff Ross?
Jeff Ross, yes. So Jeff Ross goes up. And this is the whole cool thing about these celebrity roasts, is you don't just roast the person who's like the main
you roast
person.
everybody
You
sitting.
roast everyone, and then you save the best for last.
Right.
And so Jeff Ross is up, and he's roasting. Oh, Snoop Dogg was there too.
Right. I remember that.
Jeff Ross is roasting Pete Davidson, and he goes, the only person that's inhaled more smoke than Snoop Dogg is Pete Davidson's dad, who died in 9/11. The place went, it was like, oh my God. Yeah.
I don't know why.
And like people are either cracking up or sitting there like twiddling their thumbs and it's like that shit had me rolling at home. Like I was cracking up, and it was one of those things. Nick is still shell shocked.
That's so fucked up, dude.
Yeah. And Jeff Ross is just Seth Rogen laughing up there, dude. Like he doesn't give a fuck. And it's basically like a comedian will make a joke like that, and if people go, "Ah," he's like
Pete's reaction?
I think Pete laughed because Pete's made jokes about his own dad before too.
And that's I guess it's knowing, like, if you're making a joke, right, in front of hundreds or thousands of people, you have to know.
Because it's one of those things Bill Burr one time was touring for his what do you call it, for his tour, I guess, and doing a special, and he went to Philadelphia. And I don't know if you've seen this video before, but it is absolute pure gold. He goes up to Philadelphia on stage for Philadelphia. He's finally, openers are done. He's ready to start, and like his first joke he makes, they start booing him, and so for the next 45 minutes of his set, he trashes out, tosses away his entire line of jokes and scripts and starts making fun of everyone there and the entire city of Philadelphia. He's like, you guys haven't won a championship in for fucking ever. The Phillies suck dick. 76ers don't mean shit. Your whole fucking capital, your coolest thing here is a fucking bell. Like all of this shit making fun of Philadelphia, and they're booing the fuck out of him. He's like, oh, no, what do we got? 15 more minutes? 15 more fucking minutes. You all suck dick. I hope you get diarrhea on the way home. I hope none of you get kids. I hope you're all like just going off. Like, I hope you get cancer and all this shit. And by the end of it, he got the biggest standing ovation ever because it went from them booing to them laughing while they're booing because it's so funny to them cheering him on. And he turned the show completely around. And it's one of those things where he's like, if you think I'm serious about this audacious shit I'm saying, then you can suck a dick because you don't understand my comedy then.
Yeah. And it's just understanding who you're talking to, because obviously you can't know who you're talking to with 2,000 people. Mm-hmm. But it's like, at the same time, if you're an established comedian and 2,000 people show up, they know who they're showing up for.
Exactly.
If you don't anticipate some of the most fucked up shit coming out of the most fucked up comedian, you fucked up.
Yeah,
like,
you shouldn't have gone to the show.
Your screw up.
Yeah, because this is the thing. Like, as soon as the comedian says their joke and it's established that they're a comedian and they're saying a joke, it is no longer on them, and it is 100% how you take it. And if you take it the wrong way, that is your fault.
Yeah,
and you need to learn how to take comedy better. Then
it's like, dude, comedy is just comedy. Like, you can't. It should be treated as
and it shouldn't be mixed in with reality. It should make fun of reality, but it's never to be taken as serious.
Right.
And it pissed
it's like,
me
look,
off,
dude. If you don't like it, then leave.
Yeah, if you don't like it, then don't fucking involve yourself.
Like
it's
that goes.
easy.
I mean, that goes as far as everything else. Like, I don't mean to get into all this shit because I enjoy talking about comedy, but I fucking watched a video on Facebook this morning of this girl stealing this guy's sign that he was protesting something that she didn't agree with. And so she literally snatched the sign out of his hand and was like running away with it. And a cop walked up to her because they caught up to her and was just like, give the sign over. And like, she was leaning against it. And he was like, don't lean against the guy's sign. So the guy got his sign back and he arrested the girl.
Mm-hmm. That's going to fucking happen.
And she was like, I was gonna give it back. Like,
I'm fighting for justice.
It's literally that exact. She's just like, do you understand what they're talking about? Because I'm not getting into that subject at all. Mm-hmm. But it was like, do you understand what they're doing? Like this and that. It's like, but you don't get to steal their because if it was the other way around, then what?
Then you'd be like, police,
right. And so when she got arrested, she was just like, is there nothing I can do? Like, no, you fucking stole something.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it says on the sign. You stole the sign.
And the cop straight up said what we were just talking about. Like, if you don't like it, then go somewhere else. He's not hurting anybody. It's free speech.
Yeah, and like that's why I loved when, and this is my thing, like, I could give a fuck about the Republican Party just as much as I could give a fuck about the Democratic Party.
Right.
I know, edgy, but
big boy moves.
I loved when that guy who like, basically there was this kid in a Whataburger and he was wearing a Trump hat, and this dude walked up to the kid. He's like 15 years old and the guy's like fucking in his 30s. Walks up, chucks his drink at the kid, tosses at him, and takes his hat and walks out. That kid, that guy got arrested because of that. And I was like, fuck yes, you do not need to act like an absolute fucking piece of shit because you don't like their political opinion. Suck a dick and walk away, bro.
And this is bringing perfectly to the point of what you were talking to me about the other day, and you talked to me like you convinced me of it otherwise, is everyone is allowed to have their opinion. Mm-hmm. Opinions are allowed, but that doesn't mean you have to agree with them. But to when you told me, and at first, like, my brain was trying to compute it, and for the past few days I've been thinking about it, of like, to tell someone that they're not allowed to have an opinion on something is incorrect and wrong.
Well, let's give context on this one. I'm not afraid to go into the subject more or less of, I mean, people and
it's just, the only thing is like, because it's so fresh and I just don't.
Well, we're not. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
The entire conversation we had, it was literally right after one of our podcasts we recorded, was the stance of, if you're not a woman, you're not allowed to have an opinion on abortion. And I was like, that's fucking ridiculous. And you're like, well, no, because they have they're affected by it, and like they're the parents and blah blah blah. Like it's definitely much more heavily affected on the woman's side. No
100%.
shit. Yeah, but like you still get an opinion. And I was like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. And I don't care what the subject is. You're allowed to have an opinion on it. You can't fucking like force someone not to think. You can't patrol thoughts.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have an opinion. Charles Manson is allowed to have an opinion on how I raise my kids. It's up to me not to give a fuck what that opinion is.
Right.
You're allowed to have an opinion and you're allowed to speak it.
Right.
But from that point on, it doesn't matter.
And that's where I wholeheartly agree. Because at first it was just like, no, you shouldn't have an opinion. And like, you really fucking dug deep. You were like, are you sure? Because like an opinion is a thought, and that's stopping, like you just said, stopping someone from thinking, and that you should not be allowed to do.
Because then who decides who gets to think what?
Actions are different, but opinions are their own things.
That's why there's laws against actions, not laws against thought or speech.
Right.
And so like that's what I'm a huge proponent of, is like any like reasonable person is like free speech, freedom of thought, all that stuff. Like I love when people like to go and say, oh, let's ban hate speech. Mm-hmm. Who decides what hate speech is? Who then gets to choose what hate speech is?
Because what's being affected, Caleb?
Because if I think something's hate speech and you don't, I get to decide that you get to go to jail or get fined for saying something that you don't think is hate speech. It's pushing the boundaries of absolute insanity. And so everyone gets an opinion and everybody gets to speak it, but you don't have to listen. You don't have to take them serious. You don't have to take their advice. You don't have to act on it.
My brother-in-law fucking cornered me hard. And I literally just like, I swallowed my words and I stopped talking because I literally told him like, you're right. So remember how I was telling you about the whole, like, everything is this and that, not this or that. Mm-hmm. Like everything can exist together. Like the way somebody thinks versus the way someone else's thinks. It's not that one exists or the other. It's that they can both exist. Mm-hmm. I'm giving context on that because I was explaining this to my brother-in-law, and like we were talking about it in detail about multiple different subjects, and how I think that when it comes down to negativity or, negativity or bad things, anything bad in general, that shouldn't happen. Like, for example, some fucking dude in a restaurant was screaming at these people because he couldn't get a table. And so he started like screaming out all these names at people and whatnot. And some chick came up and fucking just started wailing on his face. And I was like, good, it's what he gets. Like, it's what he fucking gets. He's being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that shouldn't exist. And my brother-in-law stopped me and he is like, you literally just contradicted what you said. Like, in that guy's head, he sees nothing wrong with that. Now, you can talk to him, as you were a big proponent of, and as I am, of like, try and convince the person otherwise. I actually saw your tweet to somebody today about that. And it was try and convince the person otherwise or let them live, but to tell them that they are not allowed to have their thoughts on something, their actions are justifiable in their head. 100% he agreed with me of like, yeah, fuck that guy. Guy's being a piece of shit. But you cannot say that all things are supposed to both exist and then say
that shouldn't exist.
Right. And I was like, oof. Like I literally went, oof, fuck. And he started laughing and I was like, no, dude, you're right. You got me.
Sound of checkmate. Or you're like,
it literally was like a loud fucking just, I was like, oh, yep, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. And I love that.
It sucks. It fucking sucks to say that hatred and negativity and fucking poor judgment on people's parts, that has to exist. But to them, it seems right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I said before, like no one truly thinks that they're evil. Like just like how terrorist groups in the Middle East think that they're doing God's work.
Right.
Even though we see that as evil.
Yeah.
They see it as literally the exact opposite.
It's a hard fucking pill to swallow too.
Yeah, it is. And like, I remember getting into a long conversation about the idea of what makes something evil or negative or bad, and what makes something good or benevolent or amazing. Mm-hmm. And I subscribe to the idea that there are things that are like, see, there's nothing that's technically objectively good or objectively bad. There is just things that exist. So like, if and the reason that we come up with our own version of objectively good and objectively bad is because we are humans, and we then see through the biased lens of a human being, and we will never be able to get rid of that because we're humans. It's like starting off with this presupposition and then trying to go about the universe.
Yeah.
If we were this like bodiless fucking spirit being thing that could be anything and nothing at the same time, then we would be able to, have completely neutral, unbiased opinions.
Right.
But the fact that we're humans, we can't get rid of that. That affects our judgment. But like, if an asteroid collides with another asteroid in another galaxy billions of light years away, is that evil or good or bad or benevolent?
It's like an animal eating
nothing.
another animal.
Exactly.
It's like, that's not what we see it as. Like, oh, it's so cute. The fucking tiger's ripping apart the bunny. It's like,
and
but
so,
that's nature, dude.
Yeah, and so people are like, oh, that's bad because it's killing the bunny. So it's either, do you want the bunny to die or the tiger to starve? You have to choose, because it's one or the other. One can't exist. How are you going to let it go about it?
Right.
And so, however, I do think there are objective, and I could be wrong about this. I got in a long conversation with Francisco, of course, because we spend 10 hours a day every fucking day with each other, about there can be objective good and objective bad when we're just pertaining to human beings. And my argument for it is human prosperity and then human downfall. We are humans, therefore we can't shake the fact that we constantly want human beings to continue to exist and to grow and to thrive.
Persevere.
Yeah. And anything that goes against that or makes us regress, we see as evil. And so, because he at first was arguing,
some people's
he at first was arguing that everything is neutral, and then we just interpret it as either good or bad.
Okay.
And I was like, I agree with that on like case by case situations, but like when it comes to overall human prosperity, we as a group can't shake the fact that that's what we strive for. So I was like, if you saw your friend getting tortured in a room and you had the ability to stop it, all you had to do was like admit that that is bad. Is that bad? And he's like, well, yeah, it's bad. And I was like, and are you interpreting that it's bad? Can it also be interpreted that it's good, or is it just bad? And he's like, well, like, and you can bring up the counterpoint of, and I don't know if he brought up this counterpoint or if I just played devil's advocate and did, but like, okay, let's say you saw a child rapist getting tortured in a room.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad? And you could say it's bad to him, but also it's justice, and we see justice as good. But the only reason we see it as good is because his actions were going against human thriving and growth and prosperity.
Right.
If you have somebody who is a proponent of human thriving and human prosperity and everything, and they're being tortured, we see it as awful.
Well, this is where like fighting fire with fire isn't. That's okay. So, for example, child rapist, right?
Yep.
Action happens, fucking terrible. That's a fucking fire. That's the worst fire that could probably happen, right? Guy gets thrown in jail, put a fucking bullet in his head. Or try and put him in an I don't even know, like, because that one just doesn't ever sit right with me, and I have to really think hard on that one, because it's like, put him in an institute, right? See if you can fucking fix something in his head. But rehabilitation, but torturing him until he slowly dies. It's like,
see, yeah, no, I'm not a proponent of torture either.
I'm not either, like, at all.
But I think like,
just put him to death or leave him in jail, but do not torture him.
Yeah, and I agree, because then, it makes you know better than the other person. Like, all you're doing is just feeling like you're getting back.
I understand that, like, I'm all for this is okay. Torture is one thing. However, I am fucking largely on the side of people who are in jail, who are in there for like drug crimes or whatever, right? And then child rapist goes in there and they beat the fucking shit out of him once, and then don't respect him after. Down for that. Learn your lesson. Get your shit fucking rocked.
A lot of times child rapists don't get it that easy.
But
usually a child rapist goes in and then they all kill him.
Right. And that's where it's like, but if it's like rock his fucking shit, cool. We'll put him fucking just.
Because then they're feeling the consequences of their actions.
I'm not saying break his fuck, because that's where torture comes in. Don't break his fucking legs. Don't peel his skin off. Like, I'm saying beat the fucking shit out of him and then just leave him there.
And it's funny because like I'm a huge proponent of prison reform because of the way that we go about it. The fact that like there's a profit to be made, and the fact that like the majority of it is just punishment rather than rehabilitation.
Right.
Like I truly think
versus like in Europe they do it differently.
Yeah, I don't know if their system is
not everywhere.
Yeah, and I don't know if I completely agree with their system either. But I think that there should be an end goal of rehabilitating that person, so that you can put them back into society. They can be trusted, safe, and help be productive.
Yeah.
And then I think if your sentence that you're giving them, or if their crime is so bad that they're going to get a life sentence, just kill them. Because the entire idea of a life sentence is so you can sit in that cell until you die.
Right. So your brain literally rots away.
Why are we wasting our money on giving them 3 meals a day, giving them clothes, giving them water, just because sustaining their life until they die?
It's giving them another place to live until they die.
Yeah. And it's like the entire end goal of a life sentence is so that they never go out back into society and then they die at jail.
Right.
Why wait 100 years to fucking do it?
Because the whole thing, like, so this is where it gets into like a much deeper conversation, is because back then, right, drug crimes, there were life sentences for drug crimes. So if we were to just off those fucking people then, and now now they're talking about like releasing people that are just have petty drug charges.
Crimes, yeah.
Had we gone about it the way that you were just talking about it, lots of fucking innocent people would be dead.
No, I agree. That's why I said prison reform. I would want the death sentence after we're already in a good spot, or a more productive, or like more initiative taking death sentence when we're actually have a good prison system. Now, fuck no.
Right. And so what I'm saying is like, and this is, I don't believe this. I'm stressing this point to you and to anybody listening, of just like, what if, and this is just what if, one day rape charges are just dropped, right?
Yeah.
What if some fucking reason, which I don't think they ever, it's super hypothetical.
Yeah.
I don't ever want it. I don't ever believe it will happen. But let's just say that happens, right?
Yeah.
And we've just killed all those people. Mm-hmm. Now, again, that's where there's a lot of terror. In my head, you do that, go to hell. If hell existed, go to hell. Mm-hmm. Like, go to hell.
And honestly, I even think and see, that's sketchy too, because of how false rape allegations can happen.
I'm talking about foolproof ones. I'm not talking about
No. I agree. But like, you still bring up the very valid point that I think you're touching on is, what if our morals now say that this is worthy of death, and then we progress later and realize that these things we thought were worthy of death are no longer worthy of death, and then we look back and go, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like robbing somebody, like not for that at all, but do I think that you should be fucking shot for that? No. I mean, if you're in the middle of robbing my house, I'm gonna cripple you at least.
That's the thing of like why I have this like yin yang opinion of prison reform. Of we need to focus highly on rehabilitation. People who are stealing, a lot of the times, can be turned into a very great, productive, awesome individual and put back into society. Yeah. Same thing with people who.
Dude, I fucking stole as a kid. Like,
statute of limitations, bitch.
10 years. No, like I stole, I think, once in my life as a kid. I think I'm not going to bring up my one of my relatives stole a lot, right? That's not who that person is.
Exactly. And
but
so
that's stealing.
And so my thing is, if you get caught breaking the law, you should be put in a system to where you are very clearly taught that this is not okay, that you will be put in an even worse situation next time you do it, but also focusing on forgiveness, understanding, and helping get that person out of the place that they are in so they don't feel like they need to do these things.
This is where I get into like breaking the law versus like literally going against a human being's rights and like their right to literally exist, right? So it's like rape, all those different things, murder. It's like, You literally are taking something from those people. You're fucking their lives up. That's where it's like, you don't care for human beings. You're not good. You're not a good part of the society. Like, we don't need you. You're just going to bring it down. Especially people that like get out on murder charges. And then there's hundreds of cases where they murder somebody again.
Yeah. And
fucking kill the person.
Yeah,
They're literally just going to ruin the world.
And that's the thing too, where I feel like there are people like there are obviously people out there who have murdered and then turned their life around. And turned into great people. And so
still, like, I can't call them great people.
Well, no, I think they have turned into great people.
I know, but even
do they have a great past? No.
No, and like, yeah, there is a path of redemption, but when you're talking about like cold-blooded murder just because you wanted to kill somebody.
Well, we're not going to talk about reasons. I'm just saying, like, there are people who have killed.
Fuck, see, and this is where it's like, remember how I always talk about everything as a case-per-case basis? There's no way to fucking rule literally everything.
Yeah, no, context is everything. But what I'm getting at is
it makes me mad. I'm getting upset. I'm getting upset.
There are cases of people who have gone out and murdered somebody, right? Gone through prison, come out and turn their life around, and now are helping people who were in their situation turn into better people and probably preventing more murder than they caused. And so that's why I want it to be focused hugely on rehabilitation and turning people into better people. But this is also the thing. Someone gets in for murder, you let them out, they get in for murder again, say in this super flexible liberal society, you let them out a second time. You let them out a second time. They murder a third time, death sentence. Done. You had your chance.
I think the first one, but I feel like the second strike should be
so
30.
that's why I said super liberal society, just for the hypothetical. Majority of the time is you murder someone and then you go out and then you murder again. Sorry,
but a bullet in your head. Like, you shouldn't. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
And like, because there are people who have murder charges who are like stupid 18-year-old teenagers who got a DUI and killed someone in a car crash. It's like, that is irresponsible as fuck. That is the dumbest thing you could have done. But do I think you could turn those people around? Yes.
Because
that's not, because it's manslaughter technically.
Yeah, it's manslaughter.
Yeah. So it's like you went to jail because someone died at the hands of your actions.
I agree. You should definitely fucking sit in some type of center, or you should definitely pay a price.
Yeah, but if like an 18-year-old kid gets a 40-year-old or 50-year sentence. What the fuck is that 68-year-old going to do now when they come out?
Yeah.
That's where it's like that sentence is pointless. You might as well give them sure, you can turn your life around at 68
again,
but like
case per case and rehab centers.
Yeah. Like,
big
give them
proponent on that.
Literally give them a 10-year sentence heavily focused on rehabilitation and therapy and turning them into a good person, putting them in volunteer centers, showing them the benefits of being a good person.
Dude, maybe they needed fucking help. Whatever.
Exactly. And so there's so many people that you could give us like a fraction of the sentence that they had before, but with a better program, and you could put out somebody in life whose sole purpose is to like feel like they need to make up for their actions that put them in that place in the first place.
And the thing that sucks about this whole entire system is the only way to rule everything by a case per case basis and to get this whole world right, which will never, I really don't think it'll ever happen, is to know like people's motives, right? A kid, one situation that went through my head that was completely made up, I don't even think this has ever, it's probably happened, is like you're at a party, you're drunk, right? And then somebody's got a fucking gun, right? And you're like, oh shit, they start shooting off. You hop in your fucking car and you peel the fuck out, right? Like, you don't want to lose your car. And you weren't thinking clearly, and you fucking hit somebody on accident.
Yeah.
And now you're drunk, and now you got to, like, you were running for your fucking life, dude, and you didn't even fucking think about it, right? But all anybody ever hears is like, there was a kid on one of the boulevards in a different city who was drunk. I think it was New Year's Eve. And he was going like 110 down the boulevard and hit a pole and split his car in half vertically, not horizontally, like the car.
Yeah. Like straight through.
Left taillight hit it, and the left side of the car stayed, because he would have died. The right taillight hit the pole, and just split the fucking car in half down the middle, and his end of the car just kept going, sliding down the street. He walked away with bruises. But all you hear about is some drunk fucking idiot was going 110 down the street.
Yeah.
Now, more than likely, drunk fucking idiot. But like,
There's always those weird exceptions.
There's weird exceptions. And it's like, it's a tricky fucking situation. And that's why I get uncomfortable with these conversations, is because everybody has these different examples in their heads, like me, for example, versus someone who's more sensitive on the subject. And they're
or
just
even
like
has had past involvement.
correct. I was going to say, like, maybe a family member that happened to them. So in their head, they're fucking headstrong on fuck anybody that drinks and drives. I'm there with you. What I'm saying is, they don't need the death penalty, dude.
Yeah, and they don't need like 40, 50-year sentences.
Like, you've seen cases, there have been cases recorded literally in court of the fucking person who did it, and they're like, I'm so sorry.
They're bawling their eyes out.
It was a fucking mistake. Like, I'm willing to serve my time. I'm just sorry to you and your family. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but like,
because it fucking sucks.
They're sorry, and it's like they're opening up about it, dude, and they're just like,
and then I'll
do anything to correct it, and I'll work my ass off to like pay your family back for anything, and it's like, and they have to serve. Why am I getting emotional? Jesus Christ, my eyes are welling up, dude. And it's like that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen, because it's not like the guy's sitting there laughing the whole time. Those cases fucking put them in a psych ward, dude.
No, there are people who are mass shooters who like just putting the middle finger up to the parents of the kids who died.
Okay.
Like, and it's like, oh,
literally
here,
bullet right in the fucking head.
Take this injection. See ya, go to sleep, never wake up.
It's just like, those guys, mass shooters, put a bullet in their head. I don't care. You killed way too many people. You got something fucked up in your head. Just put them to death. I don't care.
And then again, you could have people who have gone on a mass shooting, right? Say they killed X amount of people, whether it's a small amount or a large amount. And they're obviously totally fucked up in the head and they're bawling their eyes out and whatever. Do you think that they could be rehabilitated?
Honestly, like,
say like the kids who like shot up their high school because they got bullied. You put a bullet in that kid's head, even though he's sobbing and asking for forgiveness and saying that he only like.
I'm talking about the sick, twisted ones. Put a bullet in their head.
No,
but honestly,
I agree.
Again, case per case, and that's where it's like my humanity kicks in. It's like you gave me that fucking scenario, and I can't even look at you because I can't formulate an answer, and I'm like staring just in front of me. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like I feel like drug charges,
petty
theft,
shit,
grand theft auto, even some murder, like. You have so much of like a chance to turn these people around if they show potential. And so that's why I think like these super long sentences for people that are like relatively young that have their whole life ahead of them and definitely can be turned around. Like, you're giving them a 40-year sentence because you feel like that's, oh yes, justice. Finally, they'll feel the pain that I felt because I was at the shit end of the stick. When like, in reality, like, you had an opportunity to turn that person into a great individual who could go out and help the world because of their mistake. Yeah. There was a, I think it was either a TED Talk or just a speech that I listened to of this guy who is a hardcore, full-blown, totally dedicated neo-Nazi. And and this dude has swastikas tattooed on his face. It's all over his body. Used to like walk around and like with his skinhead and all his other fucking KKK members in these like fucking army boots, and would like fucking attack anyone of like that was like a Jew or a black person or whatever because of the fucking like awful, evil fucking like almost cult that they got into. And yet somehow miraculously this guy turned his life around and is now speaking. He is pulling in white supremacists and deconverting them and turning them into good individuals. And like, that is a poster child example of what I see.
That's funny, because that was the exact example I was going to bring up, racism and like that exact
and
one.
How like, and my thing is, you look at the current atmosphere of people our age, especially on social media. If you saw someone like that on social media, the masses, the Twitter sheep, the cancel culture would lynch him in the city square. Yeah, they would want him gone.
They even still like, I think people were like, fuck
still,
this guy.
Yeah, people still now, even though this dude has done so much good and probably done more good for the future than he did bad in the
there's
past.
a part of that whole thing of like him talking to a bunch of different black gentlemen and black women in that video, and they're just like, yeah, we forgive you, like we hear your story out and we see that you're a different person. Cool.
Yeah, and
that's how it should be. Like if he's really making that effort, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm like really concerned about the environment that people our age on social media are creating when they're talking about how, like, you know, just fucking hang them by their first mistake. And it's
that guy that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
Say, and it's like you are losing the potential of finding someone who would fight for this cause in the future harder than the people who are getting at him now
because of their mistakes.
Exactly. Right. This dude who used to be a neo-Nazi, who has stomped people's faces into curbs and like fucking done the worst of the worst, has saved more white people from turning into white supremacists, has saved, like, pulled more people away from this toxic, awful fucking lifestyle than any dumb ass virtue signaling pussy on Twitter ever would or ever will, because of their past mistakes, because they are now devoting their whole fucking existence to making up for their past and bettering society more than any fucking like social justice warrior or college campus whatever fucking kid ever would.
And that whole cancel culture thing that you were talking about, like that video that I was talking about where the guy's fucking yelling out and he gets punched in the face by that woman. Somebody tweeted, like, find this racist sack of shit and ruin his life. Twitter, you know what to do. And it's like, dude, Twitter is a super fucking powerful thing, and there are people out
dangerous.
There. It is.
That's doxing. That's illegal, and that could get people hurt or killed.
And that's literally probably like that's actually going to happen to that guy because his face is clearly shown. If I would have went into the replies, I probably would have seen it. But I was like, I'm tired of looking at this shit. Like, and I'm cool with looking at problems, right? And looking at the problem and going, can that be fixed? If it can, how? Right? Versus now when I see problems and people just going, fuck this guy, ruin everything about him. It's like,
it's so crazy because people say that shit, right? Say you get what you want.
Like, this podcast could very fucking well get you and me killed.
Yeah.
Whether from this episode, prior episodes, something we said, later episodes. And that's what's fucking crazy. And that's why, like, I try my best, because it's not that I'm in fear. Like, if it fucking happens, it's going to happen. I can't live in fear every day. That's impossible. Yeah. But it's just like, if I can maintain a certain view on our podcast, I would like to. Yeah,
and exactly. And I think a huge part of it is we stress how open we are to our minds being changed. Like my idea of like something being objectively good or bad when it comes to human beings because of the idea of prosperity.
We got into a fucking 40-minute conversation about it.
I'm down. Totally open to being wrong about that and proven wrong. And all you got to do is to spark up a conversation with me. But like, I want to actually pull up a fucking tweet that I saw on Twitter, and I quoted it. I think it was either today or yesterday.
You quoted it, or was this a guy you replied to?
I quoted it because it's one of those things where people are sitting here. I found it. It's one of those things where people are again, like trying to make, you know, themselves look like they're making a really good point and that they're really for a good cause. And then really it's an awful point. I quoted it and I said, this is such a bad tweet. And it said, Republicans on gay marriage, ban, abortions, ban, Muslims, ban, immigrations, ban, guns, quotes, bans don't work. Right. And so, sure, what you're doing is trying to like point at a hypocrisy in a lot of conservative political views. But when you're doing this, you're sitting here and you're going like, oh, like Muslims ban. There has never been a ban on Muslims. There have been certain countries that are primarily Muslim that have been like on a temporary block from coming into the country. But there's never been a religion ban in the country or immigration ban. When's the last time we had no immigration, completely closed borders? And so,
because if we did, there's be nobody here.
It's ridiculous because what it is building a straw man, attacking that, and going, look how bad conservatives are. Mm-hmm. I've seen people on Twitter go like, oh, like conservatism is just a synonym for white supremacy, and it's like. How and people aren't like joking when they say this shit. They're legitimately like trying to like show how like well they're fighting for the future and how good of a person and how virtuous they are. And in all reality, you're making yourself look like an absolute fucking idiot.
Well, the worst part is it's not so much the person. Like, fuck the person. It's the 44,000 people that retweeted it.
Yeah, exactly.
44,000 people think the same way you do, and that's fucking intimidating.
Yeah, and that tweet had 15,000 retweets and 54,000 likes. And I sit here and I go like, dude, like, make a fair point. Be like, how come you guys are going to try to ban all abortion, but then say gun bans don't work? That I 100% agree with. I think it's fucking stupid to ban abortion because you're going to go and people are going to go do it anyway. And they're going to do it worse and more people are going to be at harm and risk and whatever. It's going to cause more problems. But when you're sitting here and then you like paint the brush so that your enemy looks even worse and more evil than it was. Like find me a conservative that has a level head that's going to say, I want to ban all immigration. I want complete isolation from the rest of the world.
Right.
No, you're not.
Right.
If they say that, they're not level-headed. Every single time shit like that gets popped up, people are always like, no, we want legal immigration. We want immigration reform.
Because look, if it's one person, right? If most of these idiots that are on Twitter, if they see one person that has that thought process, that like extremely bad thought process, whatever they have attachments to, that's it. That's all of them. All Republicans think that way. It's like
they're like, you perfectly represent everyone else who holds your same opinions.
Everybody.
Yeah, you speak for your group.
Yeah,
when you don't.
Yeah, and that I don't fucking know, dude.
And it's so crazy because like you could, and people love to just like, oh, look how good I am. Oh, I'm such a good person. Oh my God, look, I'm a good person. If you disagree, you're a fucking shitty person. And it's like, when people get in that like manic state of just absolute madness, you can sit there and like almost play with them about how ridiculous they are. You can show them a quote and be like, oh, like we need to secure our borders. We need to have more deportation and less illegal immigration and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what do you think about this? Oh, that's fucking awful. I can't believe anyone would say that, blah, blah, blah. And it's an Obama quote.
Interesting.
And people are like, oh, well, it's different because he was doing it this way and blah, blah, blah. It's like, excuses. Oh, no, you're just fighting for your team. Yeah. You're not fighting for ideas.
No.
You don't sit here and think the shit through. You just get so fucking emotionally enraged that someone would dare do a thing that goes against how you see the world.
Bah.
Yeah, and then you go out and then you just go fucking spew your dumbass shit on Twitter for two losers with a podcast to pick apart.
That fucking sheep mentality. It's fucking stupid. It really is dumb.
And so it just pisses me off because like I dare somebody who retweets that shit on my timeline, who has that like strong ass super fucking left wing ideology, to sit down and have a real civil conversation with a normal conservative and realize how much you guys agree on.
Well, you're daring them in a situation that isn't possible for them, because if they're retweeting that, they're more than likely not going to be civil about anything. It's like the second that you put an opposing idea in front of most people, they turn into Rottweilers. Like they just want to fucking tear that
they
thing
just
apart.
start foaming at the mouth and start losing their goddamn
and it's
shit.
Like, why can't you just talk? Like,
and you lose all respect for anybody who acts like that, conservative or liberal, when they act like that about a political opinion.
But it's just like, this is where I get so torn up about like how many people are actually like this in the world versus like what we're just seeing on Twitter.
Exactly. And
because
that's
I have this fucking like I have this view on Twitter now of just like, and I've been breaking it lately, of, well, what I see on Twitter is a large percentage of the world. No, it's not. No, but
15,000 people ain't shit to our city.
Right. But it's because it's what I see. If I see 14 tweets in a row, right, of one mentality and they each have 40,000 retweets, it's like, that's a goddamn large amount of people.
But who knows? Maybe 20,000 of those retweets on each tweet are the same people.
Exactly. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's just like, you get stuck in this way of thinking.
And a buddy of mine and I were talking about this, and he was arguing that like the majority of people think this way, that the majority of people are like this. And the reason is because of how often shit like that goes viral on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I go, I 100% disagree with you. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, I don't believe that for 1 second. I was like, I think the more extreme people's views are, the more often they are screaming them. The more radical sides of the spectrum are the loudest. and the majority stays silent. I was like, you consider yourself a level-headed person, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, when's the last time you went on some large Twitter rant or got into a Twitter fight or called someone out on social media about their political opinion? And he's like, I don't do that shit. And I'm like, exactly. So how are you going to assume that the majority of Twitter is like that way when the majority of Twitter doesn't speak on it?
Right. Good point.
You have probably about 20% of Twitter who acts like absolute fucking nutheads. And then 80% of Twitter who are like you and me, who just sit back and go, like, look at these losers. Look at how dumb they're making themselves look. The only reason that we don't notice that is because you don't get a statistic of how many people just looked at it.
Right.
If you were to, I'll use one of my dumb comical tweets as an example. And,
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy.
no, for some reason, the statistics on that tweet don't pull up for me. I think it's because it's my pinned one.
You broke the simulation and the simulation is broken.
Yeah, something like that.
I was having a conversation with Kat yesterday. The one that had sent in the question for anybody wondering. And in Chicago, there was a big ass fucking storm happening, and she just zoomed in on the lightning happening. She was like, the simulation is broken. And I was just like, the simulation will not take any of this backlash, Catherine. And she's just like, well, is the simulation going to be broken until Saturday? And I just put in caps. I was like, the simulation will not take this. That's stupid.
Okay, so to the point of the statistics, right? I have my stupid ice cream machine is broken tweet.
Okay.
And it has 22,000 retweets and 41,000 likes.
Okay.
We'll give it the max number, which is the likes of 41,400 people liked this tweet.
Okay.
Out of the click tweet activity, 3.5 or 3.4 million people who saw it.
Holy fucking shit. 3.4 million people saw that tweet. Good Lord. That's fucking 3.45. That's almost 3.5 million.
Yeah, that many people.
My boy's popping.
And so real quick, I'm going to do a little bit of math.
Shameless plug on the bottom of all your most popular tweets.
Don't give a fuck about my stupid.
No, shameless tweets. Plug. I'm saying shameless plug of our podcast underneath all of your most popular tweets.
No, every fucking time I go viral from here on out.
Yeah. Hey guys, I have a podcast. Check this out.
Yeah, but if we want a percentage, out of everyone who saw my tweet, 1.1% interacted with it.
You sure it's still 1.1?
Mm-hmm. 41,000.
Uh-huh.
Divided by 3.5 million.
Uh-huh.
Times 100 to get a percentage point is 1.1.
Huh.
1.1% of people, 98.9% of people did not say or do shit with my tweet. They just looked at it.
That's so fucking crazy, dude.
And
fucking crazy.
So put that into context of these people who are putting out these dumb ass fucking virtue signaling tweets. 98% of people aren't saying shit about it.
Yeah, and honestly, if people want to argue that of just like, well, it could just be the views and times by whatever the fuck. Well, first of all, you're wrong. But secondly, the Wendy's tweet. Wendy's said, get this tweet, this one right here to 2 million, and we'll bring back the spicy chicken nuggets.
And it got it so fast.
I think it got 2.4 in like a few days. I was like, oh,
you forget there's that many people. Yeah. I'll use another example. My most favorited tweet ever is the dumb one about the It movie, right? 101,000 likes.
Jesus.
So that's over double my last one. View tweet activity. 7.8 million people saw that.
Oh, okay.
So this one's going to be a little higher of a ratio.
Yeah, it's going to be like 2%.
It's almost 7.9, but we'll round down to 7.8. 101,000 divided by 7.8. Oh, fuck, I actually put a point. 7.8 million times 100. Can you guess how much the percentage went up?
What was the first?
1.1%.
44 and 3.8 to 101 and
7.8.
It went up 0.7.
It went from 1.1% to 1.29%.
Fuck.
So now 98.7% of people didn't interact with my tweet.
That's so fucking nuts.
Fucking nuts. And so I have to fight with myself all the time to realize that when something goes viral and it looks ridiculous and it's such a fucking, in my opinion, stupid opinion or stupid take or bad judgment, I have to remind myself that 98% of people aren't agreeing, or at least aren't interacting. I can't assume that everyone doesn't agree, but I can assume that if you didn't at least like it, you probably didn't give a fuck about it.
Right.
And you probably disagreed with it.
You want to take a hard turn, or you want to keep going?
I'll close on it, and then we can take a hard turn. So for anyone who sees this culture of Twitter, including myself, this is almost a letter to myself at this point, because I am
an open
realizing,
letter to me.
because this is my first time ever calculating this.
Yeah.
I've never done this before, so it's kind of eye-opening. And I think a lot of other people need to realize that just because there's a fuck ton of these dumbasses talking on Twitter, it does not show you how many people are not agreeing with that. Or because you see people in the comments that are, you know, replying, going out of their way to disagree, and then you see people liking those comments. But that's not everyone. That's not how many people actually go out of their way to look and see who disagrees. I'm one of those people, but that's because I just get fired up over any type of debate. But you need to realize that on average, at least from what my viral tweets show, 98% of people are just scrolling past it.
Imagine what 101,000 people yelling out, fuck those people.
Like, fuck Trump. Let's just
together
say,
in one large area screaming, just fuck those people, right?
Yeah. Fuck them.
Or fuck that. Fuck them. And then 7.8 million minus the 101,000 that did.
Yeah.
Step in and go,
don't care.
No, nothing.
Just a sigh.
Just a sigh, just a grunt. How loud that fucking noise would be. That shit would rattle the fucking buildings around it, dude.
Yeah, and so, or just be like, just like, oh my God, this is awful. 100,000 people say this, and then 7.8 million go, don't care.
Yeah, not even yelling it, just don't care. Fucking, it would just
wash it out.
So
I need to realize this more. That the
because
majority of Twitter isn't
is
stupid.
a really, really good point that I didn't even. Oh my God. Somebody followed me that has a swastika as their fucking picture. And it's probably one of those really weird kids.
Oh my God.
Because it's a private account.
Let me look at it.
Jesus.
Because I know what a lot of the kids' Instagrams look like. Oh yeah, there's a picture of a Fortnite character pointing up saying, the person above me is mega gay. This is 100% a middle schooler. Oh, they follow my brother.
Jesus fucking Christ.
This is a middle schooler for sure.
Jesus fuck. Just give me my phone
Yeah,
back. I need
it's
to
a middle
block
schooler.
that fucking idiot.
Oh my God.
Okay, the hard turn is J-Bug's question.
Oh yeah.
Because we're already, we're at 2 hours and we got to answer that question without.
This has been a good one-on-one.
Honestly,
one.
it's really fucking
This
nice.
is honestly one of my favorites that we've done with just us. We back, baby.
What the fuck? Oh God. Okay, wrong thing. So J-Bug.
So I cannot, stop my ritual of having to pee during the podcast. So
fucking, leave me right now.
Start with the question, and then you give your take.
I
And
literally can't find it. I don't know where
it's in our Twitter DMs.
I know. I'm looking. Oh, you're good. Go to the bathroom. I'll figure this out.
Okay, we got to keep
found
talking. Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. So we were actually asked a question on our Instagram, and I hope this keeps happening, dude, because it's actually really nice to have people like chime in, and now we get to expand on this thought, which is actually a really interesting question, to which I will pose the question again once Caleb is back from the bathroom. But our buddy Jordan had sent in, do y'all believe in right person, wrong time? ? So read that fucking stupidly. Do y'all believe in wrong person, right? Jesus Christ, Nick. Do y'all believe in right person, wrong time? Want to hear your thoughts on that. And to which we said, yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. Asked him if he could be mentioned, yada, yada. That just, I battle with that because really the whole like right person, wrong time thing is like, if it was the right person, period, it would be the right time. But then again, there are other thoughts in my head of it just being like, I don't fucking know. It's kind of going back and forth in my head as of even speaking about it. So I kind of expanded a little bit. I'll get back on it once you answer it. So do you believe in right person, wrong time?
I actually like that I haven't heard your opinion on it, so I can give like my true honest one without yours. affecting it.
Right.
And we'll see how much it lines up.
And then I can tell you, fuck yourself.
So I 100% believe in wrong person or right person, wrong time. I think that I think there are people that you could totally have fallen in love with or ended up having a relationship with, but external forces that are affecting their life has put them in a position where they can't date, or they haven't matured enough to date, or they are too emotionally unavailable to get into a relationship, or maybe you have qualities that they don't see attractive that down the road they end up seeing as attractive.
Right.
But then you could also argue, are they the same person? So would it still be the right person?
Correct. So
I'm a little split, but
God, that's so annoying.
Oh, what? Because is that around what you said?
I mean, I didn't expand on it because I couldn't expand it for some reason in the moment. I think I'm running out of juice, dude. I've been giving presentations all day. But literally like that, for a good portion of my life, when I first heard it was like right person, wrong time. It sounds so hopeful, right? It gives you that sense of well, maybe I'll run into that person again. But then I also run into if it was the right person, then there shouldn't be a wrong time.
That's a solid point. I think it depends on what you mean by right person. So
right person for you that you should marry.
No, I know, but
that you should be with
that. But is it the idea of say you ran into someone and you guys had a spark and a thing, but for unknown reasons or for random reasons, you couldn't end up having a relationship with that person.
Right.
And then 5-6 years pass and new opportunity presents itself and you guys try again and that ends up being your wife. Was that still right person, wrong time?
I don't know.
I would say it was.
I mean, yeah, you can say obviously to that one because you did, but I think this question applies more to things that haven't happened.
What do you mean?
You're saying that you run into a person, you had a spark, didn't get a chance, 5 years later, you end up marrying that person anyway, right? Yeah, of course you can definitely say right person, wrong time because now we're here.
Yeah.
It happened.
But if you're not there yet,
or if it never happens.
Well, yeah, no, if it never happens, then,
right. Right. Because let's just say that you found the right person at the wrong time, meaning you were too late. If you would have found them a week ago, a year ago, maybe that could have been the right time for that person and you guys could have clicked easily.
Maybe.
So it's one of those things that I'm constantly.
I think, this is my thing. I think that the idea of it's hard. The idea of perfect soulmates when it comes to relationships of romantic relationships. I don't subscribe to that idea because I think it's, what a fucking coincidence. My soulmate was literally 5 miles down from my house. 7.6 billion
people. You're really
people.
torn on that whole thing, huh? Because we had this conversation before.
We had it a while ago.
Yeah.
But 7.6 billion people. Let's just say 7 billion for the sake of the conversation.
I'll call it 8 billion. It's getting closer there.
Okay. We'll do 8. 8 billion people. Cut it in half for your preference of girls in this situation. 4 billion girls in the world. And
have I talked to you about this yet?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to expand. Go ahead.
4 billion girls in the world.
Yeah.
And lucky me, my 1 in 4 billion happened to be born around the same age as me, down the street.
Right.
It's whoa, what are the fucking odds? And that's why I'm
right. What are the odds, though?
And that's why I think if you were born in New York, you'd find your soulmate in New York. If you were born in Florida, you'd find your soulmate in Florida. If you were born in India, you'd find it in India.
That's where it's when it comes down to that. Okay, so this is where I had brought up to Tub recently about the term soulmate and what it means, at least in my head, my new understanding of it.
I think we should define it, yeah.
Yeah, so when I talk about soulmate, I mean somebody that you literally and this is where it comes into for some people call it the hippy dippy shit, but I'm just more of the spiritually, I'm into that stuff.
Yeah.
So when Tub and I first met, obviously at the time I wasn't thinking about this stuff, but dude, we clicked.
Right person, wrong time. I get it.
Fuck you. we clicked on like this fucking insane level, like immediately.
It wasn't a like
the first
polished
conversation I
thing.
had with you was the fucking convincing people that you're my brother. I don't think we had literally had a conversation before that.
I can't remember.
Right.
Like,
I mean, it could be totally wrong,
My
but
memory's pretty vague, but we'll go with it.
the point being is like the reason we can do this podcast and the reason why, like, when I get frustrated or you get frustrated, like we can talk the other person down, like off a cliff, off a ledge, is because, and this isn't anything corny. It's just, I think that you, on a very deep level that no one understands yet, meet some people in your life that are just like a soulmate.
So I was going to ask you, the next question is, do you believe that there's more than one soulmate?
And that's where it's like, honestly, to some extent, yeah, I feel like there has to be.
I think so too. I think there. So if you want me to believe in the idea, and I don't mean you specifically, I mean just like
if you want me to believe you love me.
no. If like for me, to subscribe to the idea of soulmate, I would subscribe to the idea if there was multiple. If there are just those individuals out there that for some reason you just naturally click with. It's not something that you guys built together. It's not a bond that, oh, now we get along great. It's a just right off the bat, without even knowing the other person very well, just click with. Yeah. And I think, yes, if you then if that's what you define like a soulmate as, then I think there are a ton of soulmates out there. And I think like that should be kind of your goal when it comes to your social like your social wants and needs, is to go collect as many of them as possible.
I didn't have my computer plugged in.
Oh shit.
No, I mean it's still going.
But yeah, you're like,
oh, is that power strip not turned on? We're not plugged in?
I have it plugged in. Let me see if it's turned on.
Quickly. So, like we explained in the beginning, that was the technical difficulty that we ran into.
You have now gone through a time warp, and we are 9 days into the future.
And sitting on the floor rather than having everything set up, we're like, we'll just close it rather than trying to hop back into that conversation, because there's no way we're going to be able to mimic it.
Yeah, but that's what we think about. Right person, wrong time.
Yes.
That's it. It's said. It's done.
It's done. And then we'll just move forward, because we were like, how do we get, like, we were trying to figure out how to hop back into it. We didn't know like what the right thing to do was.
And so we said no.
That was probably so goddamn noisy moving around just now.
We're literally holding the pop mics.
We're holding the pop filters in front of our mouths while holding the mics in front of the pop filters.
We're holding the pop mics, says Caleb.
It's okay, dude. So technically this was supposed to be episode 15.
But now it's 18?
No. This is crap. If this is 15, should we just pull it up? What was Danny's?
I want to say Danny's was 17.
So it is 18?
That's what I'm thinking.
Did I relabel this wrong? I probably labeled it wrong.
Why are we doing this?
It's okay. You also really got to figure out that mic situation.
Yeah, don't worry about me, bro. It's just audio, not video. Yeah, it's 18.
Okay, so this is episode 18, and we're just gonna close it out because
so the laptop, we finally got it back now, and so we're finally fucking finishing it.
Yeah, like it was locked inside the laptop that whole time. A really weird situation. But yeah, so this was recorded like 9 days ago, technically, and so it's just...
We got it back, though. At least we got it back.
Yes, we did. And we were really stoked because we thought we were going to lose it. Yeah. Okay. So,
that was episode 18.
I hate you because you could like it.
Totally did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
We don't remember what the fuck this was about.
No, we don't. It's really fucking weird to hop. It's cool to like go along the ride of like with people listening of like, hey dude, there's going to be fuck ups sometimes that we're not going to be able to control. Like we don't have all the equipment for all the backups, and eventually we'll get stuff like that where we won't have to run into this situation. But I mean, in the meantime, just roll it on home, dude. Roll it on home.
That was episode 18. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Later.